The first thing the boy did after coming home from school was to find a way to survive his own father. Because his father was a violent man who couldn't control his emotions. After he found out I was a green rank awakener, he not only beat and kicked me, but also beat my already frail mother until she was severely paralyzed. In this life, I will never allow this tragedy to happen again. I will protect my mother, even if it costs me my life. It turns out this is a world where magic and demons coexist. Everyone can awaken different classes through the 5 major elements. The God's Legion that I led in my past life was the strongest awakener team in the world. The members were the Electro-type assassin, Hilu, and the Cloud-type mage, Han Xiaolan. The Star-type conductor, Lucian, and myself, the Nuclear-type holy swordsman. There was also a traitor I'll never forget. Today marks the 10th year I've been leading the team. This mission is to eliminate the SSS-class Demon King, Belphegor. He's the 100th high-level demon we've faced. This mission was designated as an L-class purge mission, although L-class is the highest level of difficulty. We'll get a short vacation after completing it. With our perfect teamwork, I finally killed Belphegor with my 10 directions of silent annihilation technique. However, my teammates felt it wasn't over yet, surprised that this demon was so easy. Lucian immediately reminded everyone to stay vigilant. Our entire team was dispatched for this mission. It can't be right that we cleared it so easily. I naturally agreed with Lucian. The intel said this was a very special demon king, possessing not only 5 elements, but also a hidden skill. Just then, a pair of delicate hands hugged me from behind. Hilo asked me if for this short vacation, I was planning to treat everyone to a big meal or ask her out alone. Hearing this, I quickly pushed her away. I decided it was better for everyone to gather at our old spot in the holy capital. Then I turned and asked my teammates, "Hasn't that guy caught up yet?" Lucian explained that the person was cleaning up the mess behind us. He didn't even make a move when we were fighting Belphegor, but everyone was used to it. That guy was always dawdling. He was the best at slacking off. But just then, Han Xiaolan's head was suddenly pierced. She died on the spot without even a scream. This sudden event caught everyone off guard. I was about to turn, but I found my body couldn't move. Then, that familiar voice sounded in my ear. For the past month's breakfasts, I've been mixing in paralyzing powder. As the voice fell, the divine skill, Forbidden Vine, was activated. The few of us were instantly bound tightly by vines. The dreadlocked man who claimed to be cleaning up finally appeared. T.O. kill all of you. The strongest. I had to be fully prepared. This is the will of the gods. The L-class purge mission is to purge you. Bound, we lost all our defenses like lambs to the slaughter. At this moment, the vine stabbed towards Hilu and the others at extreme speed. But as the captain, I could only watch helplessly as their chests were pierced by the vines. I angrily questioned the dreadlocked man. Why are you purging us? The God's Legion has never done anything out of line. Which God's will is this? And on what grounds are you doing this to us? Hearing this, the dreadlocked man sneered, mocking me for being so naive. Oh, the gods need a reason why you dead? As his voice fell, he charged at me with extreme speed. My chest was instantly pierced by his arm. Before dying, my eyes were filled with confusion. That are we comrades? We've been together for over 10 years. Weren't we already like family? Hearing this, the dreadlocked man's lips curled into a sinister smile. Comrades? You still don't get it, do you? Why it had to be me to do this? From the day we first met, the gods were setting up this chessboard. You've always been nothing but pawns to be manipulated. To gain your trust, I've been acting alongside you for so long. I find it disgusting, too. As his voice fell, a gunshot echoed within the demon's lair. Except for the dreadlocked man, the entire God's Legion was dead. I'm so unwilling to accept this. If only I had discovered it sooner, I could have changed this tragic ending. Just then, a voice echoed in my mind. Let's make a deal. As the voice faded, I found myself in a dark space, my body wrapped in chains. Then, a man in a sharp suit appeared before me. Seeing the 5 major elements swirling around him, I recognized him as Belphegor. But why wasn't he dead? Belphegor laughed and explained, how could an SSS-class Demon King be so weak? This is my soul space. The entire Nay Kingdom is my true life. I can sense that you, like me, are now filled with hatred. So I want to make a deal with you. My hidden skill is called Life Rewind. It can send you back to the distant past, giving you a chance to undo and change all of this. So, by E, do you want to start over? I recalled all the moments with my companions over the past 10 years. How could I not want to see their smiles again? The culprit behind all of this was that traitor. It was his betrayal that led to all of our deaths. I told Belphegor I wanted to start over. I want to kill that traitor with my own hands. And those high and mighty gods. This answer greatly satisfied Belphegor. He immediately pulled a blazing heart from his chest, around which the 5 major elements swirled, saying it was a welcome gift for me. I didn't accept it right away. I asked him why he wanted to make a deal with me, and what the price was. Belphegor didn't answer, just gave a meaningful smile. When I opened my eyes again, I saw my middle school homeroom teacher, Teacher Huang, by E. Get up. I can let it slide when you fool around in class. But you dare to sleep on the afternoon of your class change? Get to the back of the room and stand. Looking at my youthful hands, my eyes were wide with shock. I couldn't believe I had actually returned to my middle school days. Belphegor's ability was truly incredible. He really sent me back to the past. As I was marveling at this, Teacher Huang slapped the lectern, telling everyone to pay attention. There are a total of 5 elemental powers in this world, one of which is electro, and each person can only contain one element. Like me, your teacher, I possess the rarest cloud-type element. Then, depending on how the elemental power combines with each person's body, it can be divided into 3 major categories. V, combat type. Because of the 5 elemental powers, combined with different roles, many different classes have emerged. I know that to stand out from hundreds of millions of people as potential awakeners, you're already far superior to others, surrounded by flowers and applause since childhood. But today is your most important day. There are nearly 100 known awakened classes. Classes are divided into 4 qualities from low to high: green, blue, and gold. And everyone only has one chance to awaken a class. Therefore, the moment your class is determined this afternoon will decide your future status in the world. After class, I was walking around the campus looking around. Suddenly, my friend, Specs, fell beside me. The person who pushed him down was the school bully, Hong Qiangxing. You trash who needs external force to awaken. How dare you block my way? You think you're so great just because you're about to awaken? In front of a red quality class awakener like me, you'll always be a nobody. Under this pressure, Specs quickly took out his pocket money, begging Hong Qiangxing to let him go. In my past life, I remember Hong Qiangxing often got into conflicts with classmates. He seemed to have a bit of a super male syndrome, always looking for trouble. Just then, Teacher Huang walked over. She sternly warned Hong Qiangxing, "This is a school. Are you going to ignore the school rules?" Hong Qiangxing looked disdainful and claimed that Specs had bumped into him and injured him. Isn't it right for him to buy my buddies and me a cup of milk tea as compensation? Then he leaned in and whispered to Teacher Huang, "Trying to stand up for your student, huh? If it weren't for your looks, I would have had you kicked out of this school long ago." Hearing this, Teacher Huang paid him no mind. She walked over, helped Specs up, and asked if he was hurt anywhere. I have a deep impression of Teacher Huang. She has a sharp tongue, but a soft heart. She helped me a lot after I awakened back then. At that moment, a teacher from the next class waved at us, reminding us it was our class's turn to enter the awakening room. Teacher Huang immediately gathered the students and reminded them to stay as calm as possible during the awakening to avoid injury. I remember that awakening in this world is divided into 2 types. One is natural awakening, like Hong Qiangxing's. It usually happens to people with strong physical constitutions and talent, who awaken spontaneously during a moment of extreme emotional excitement. The other is through the awakening space room. After entering the space, a person's emotions and adrenaline are rapidly catalyzed, thus inducing awakening in potential awakeners. But because everyone can only awaken once, and it's random, the awakening in class change is also seen as life's only chance to reboot one's destiny. When it was my turn to enter the awakening room, Teacher Huang sternly reminded me to concentrate. I nodded slightly and said I knew what to do. In my past life, I awakened as an E-rank nuclear-type warrior, a mediocre green quality class. Because of this, I was bullied quite a bit. It was only when I advanced to S rank that I awakened the rarest type. My body should still contain the nuclear element. I just don't know what class I'll awaken this time. But unexpectedly, a mechanical voice suddenly sounded in my ear. Awakening system detection error. 5 elements detected. Infinite awakening system activated. Because your body contains all 5 elemental types, you can choose your initial class. You can activate any class of any element. Afterwards, when you accumulate enough of a certain element, you can choose to obtain a new random class for that element or upgrade your existing class. After hearing the system's introduction, I was completely stunned. Not only can I now choose the element and class I awaken, but I can also obtain other new classes in the future. I have the chance to obtain classes of all qualities, even that special quality class. The system immediately explained only the initial class can be chosen. Subsequent classes will be obtained randomly. At this moment, I recalled the heart Belphegor gave me. I never expected this welcome gift to be so precious. It gave me the ability of infinite awakening. Just then, the system prompted that after choosing the initial class, all element bars would be cleared. A faint smile appeared on my lips. I'd already made my choice. When I slowly walked out of the awakening room, Teacher Huang hurried over and asked me what class I had awakened. I sighed helplessly. Sorry to disappoint you. I awakened as a nuclear-type warrior, the worst green quality. Hearing this, Teacher Huang's expression immediately darkened, but she still encouraged me not to give up. Even with green quality, many extraordinary talents have emerged. But I didn't need her comfort at all. I couldn't even imagine how strong my future self would be. At this moment, Hong Qianxing walked over and mocked loudly. I remember you being quite capable, Teacher Huang. Why are you spouting such useless, toxic encouragement? Green quality means you're at the very bottom. That's how this world is. The gods choose people. They only pick the strong. The weak are only fit to be humiliated. As soon as he said this, killing intent surged in my eyes. My death in my previous life was inextricably linked to those gods. Just then, Hong Qianxing spoke to Teacher Huang again. You know this, of course. From now on, green classes can only sit in the back row. That's how society is. Those with no strength, no background, and no future are always in the back, abandoned by fairness. The strong get better resources. They'll get stronger and stronger. The weak green ranks are destined from the moment they awaken to become the bottom-tier grunts among awakeners. Changing your life through hard work. A green quality becoming a genius? Do you even believe that crap yourself? Just like when everyone is born, your future is already decided. Our Awakener School is just a microcosm. I remember you're a blue class, Teacher Huang. Just stay obediently in school and be a useless teacher living off a public salary. And you, kid, with your green quality, you should just go home early. Don't waste resources. As his voice fell, I casually crushed a cup, splashing the drink all over his face. Shut your mouth, you bastard. Your breath stinks. Hearing this, Hong Qianxing gave a wicked smile, then swung at me with all his might using Star Thorn Hammer. The next second, I materialized a long sword in my hand and easily blocked it, then activated the warrior skill, Parry. Hong Qianxing flew back like a kite with a broken string, a mouthful of blood spraying from his mouth. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene, not expecting me to be able to send a red quality class flying. Unconvinced, Hong Qianxing immediately stood up, claiming I was just lucky and had dodged his attack. But Teacher Huang, who had witnessed the whole thing, was certain it wasn't just luck. She could see I used a top-tier movement technique unique to the warrior class to block the damage at the very instant of the strongest attack, and within 0.09 seconds, faster than the limits of reaction time, reflect the physical damage back to the opponent. This was a move that couldn't be mastered even with 10 years of hard practice. At this thought, Teacher Huang's expression became even more shocked. How could a student with absolutely no combat experience on his first day of awakening possibly do that? At this moment, Hong Qianxing summoned his bayonet, determined to beat me until I questioned my existence and had to crawl out of school. But he had no idea that I was prepared, which is why I chose this seemingly weakest class. Judging a person's future and life from birth was a grave mistake they would only realize many years later. I chose the nuclear-type warrior because after this class advances, it gains a unique quality and extremely powerful skills that surpass other classes. Seeing the atmosphere grow increasingly tense, the onlooking students were all worried for me. Because in school, private fights using awakened powers are strictly forbidden. And Hong Qianxing's father is a high-ranking official, and his uncle is the school director. In contrast, my family is poor and has no background. If I take the bait and fight here, I could be expelled from school. Seeing this, Teacher Huang quickly urged us not to be impulsive, saying that we might even be partners fighting together in the future. Hong Qianxing immediately refused angrily. This guy just provoked me relentlessly. You're telling me to stop now? Even if he kneels and begs for mercy now, it's useless. I'm going to let him know the insurmountable gap between a chosen one and a loser. Hearing this, Teacher Huang thought to herself that this was bad. The reason for such a huge difference in quality lies in the different attribute bonuses. The attribute bonus for green quality is 100, meaning no change. The bonus for a blue quality class of the same type is 150. And red quality is an astonishing 200. The moment of awakening, all attributes of a red class are double that of a green class. This gap in strength is forever insurmountable. My friend Specs also thought I was done for. Whether in terms of actual strength or background, I was completely crushed by my opponent. Why would I go and offend someone stronger than me for no reason? A scumbag like that is indeed hateful. But to struggle and survive in a world like this, you must learn to avoid trash. And when you can't avoid it, you must learn to swallow the humiliation. Only those who can bend and stretch can last long. A direct confrontation is just the most foolish choice. All that awaits you is greater humiliation. At this moment, Hong Qiangxing activated his skill violent charge and rushed at me. But I wasn't flustered at all and remained standing in place, because I had no intention of dodging. The skill haste was instantly activated, increasing my speed by over 50 for a short period. My figure was as fast as lightning, and I instantly appeared behind him. Hong Qiangxing didn't understand how I did it. Then he spat out a large amount of blood, eventually collapsing to his knees from exhaustion, coughing violently. The fight ended so quickly that even Teacher Huang didn't see clearly what had happened. But the class monitor, Qi Yin, had an intrigued expression. She saw that at the moment Hong Qiangxing attacked, I once again activated the haste skill, unique to the warrior class. And it was the advanced form of haste, flash step. But how I so easily defeated my opponent in that instant, she couldn't see clearly either. But she was certain of one thing. I had not only mastered the highest level usage of a warrior's basic skills, but I could also apply them seamlessly in actual combat. And in that brief moment, I had even considered not breaking the school's rules in public. At this time, the system prompted, gained 50 class EXP. For heavily injuring an E-rank star element opponent, gained 50 star element points. This was just as I had guessed. Using my class in combat accumulates class experience, and defeating an opponent of a certain element also grants element points. But 50 points is too little. I need to clear some demon layers as soon as possible. I must level up and advance faster than before. Just then, Hong Qiangxing shakily stood up, picked up his bayonet, and was about to sneak attack me from behind. But the next second, he was stopped by a steady voice. The person who stopped him was none other than the middle school director, Hong Liang. Stop watching the show, he told the onlooking students. Go home and rest. Report your awakened class to your families. The words "go home" struck me like lightning. I didn't even notice that Hong Liang had walked up to me, because I suddenly remembered something extremely important. Since I've returned 20 years into the past, they are all still alive now. Something else happened on Awakening Day, something that I still can't let go of to this day. At this thought, I left the school at top speed. Seeing that he had been ignored, Hong Liang was furious. He turned and snapped at Teacher Huang to control her student. We'll pretend nothing happened today. A moment later, Hong Liang brought his nephew to the office. Hong Qiangxing's eyes were full of defiance. If it weren't for that kid's luck, I would never have lost to him. As soon as he finished speaking, Hong Liang suddenly slammed the table and told him to shut up. Oh, you know what that kid you were facing did? The moment you rushed at him, he used the high-tier skill, Flash Step. But more importantly, before he flashed, in the instant just before you made contact, he found the weakest point on your entire body and struck it viciously, completely breaking your defense. This whole sequence used only a warrior's basic skills. But even I, who have fought on the battlefield for 15 years, might not be able to use them so skillfully. Your fight was as ridiculous as a professional player toying with a max-level elementary school student using only basic operations. This kid is not as simple as you think. Meanwhile, I was running home at full speed. If there was anything I had to do after being reborn, besides getting revenge, it was to stop the tragedy that was about to happen. I had to stop it, even if it cost me my life. When I got home, I saw my mother preparing dinner. Seeing my mother again after 20 years, tears welled up in my eyes. I was so relieved that my mother was still alive. Seeing me return, my mother gestured excitedly in front of me. Because my mother couldn't speak, she told me through sign language that she had made my favorite hot and sour noodles today. I held back my tears and forced a smile, saying I wanted to eat pickled fish today. My mother gestured, saying we could have it tomorrow, that she had made a lot of delicious food today. I immediately shook my head, insisting I really wanted to eat fish today and asked her to go buy it now. She couldn't refuse me and signed that she would go right away. But just as I was about to go out with her, my father, who was watching TV in the living room, suddenly spoke up that it's enough for your mom to go alone. By the way, what's with you, kid? You didn't even greet your dad when you got back. Isn't today Awakening Day? Hurry up and tell me the good news. With that, my father took 2 bottles of beer from the top of the fridge, saying he had finished work early and come home just to celebrate with me. I showed no smile in response. I lied and said I hadn't awakened yet today because the awakening process took too long and it ended before it was my turn. Hearing this, my father's expression suddenly turned grim. He questioned why I came back so early then. He had awakened a red class back then with nothing, so his son should at least be a red class. He was working so hard to earn money for my education, putting all his hopes in me. He sternly demanded to know what my class was. In an instant, a terrifying, killing intent enveloped me, but I still said I hadn't awakened. The next second, a beer bottle smashed hard on my head. My father's eyes became extremely ferocious. That you're actually just a green class? What were you pretending to be so serious for at school all day? You awakened a useless green class for me. Are you trying to disgrace me? With that, he kicked me straight in the face. This was within my expectations. In my past life, when he found out I was a green rank awakener, he started a huge fight at home because he felt disgraced. To protect me, my mother, as usual, stood in front of me again. But back then, I was too weak and too scared. That bastard beat my mother for a full hour to vent his anger. That day, my mother's leg was broken, and because of a severe blow to the head, she became mentally unstable. I hated my own weakness. I hated that I couldn't protect my mother. Reborn, I can't let this tragedy happen again. Although the nuclear-type warrior has a unique specialty that other classes don't, it still needs some time. Right now, I've just awakened and am at the lowest E rank, while Bai Lingsheng is a C rank red class. He's completely different from Hong Qiangxing at school. He has enough combat experience. Even if I were gold class now, I couldn't defeat him. He was also waiting for me at home early today. He wouldn't stop until he got an answer. So I absolutely couldn't let my mother stay here. That's why I sent my mother out to buy groceries. But unexpectedly, I suddenly heard the sound of a bag dropping at the door. My mother was actually already home. I was shocked, unable to understand how she could be back so quickly. It turned out my mother was worried I'd be hungry, so she rushed home right after buying the groceries. But she never expected to come home to such a scene. When Bai Lingsheng saw my mother return, he immediately turned his anger on her. Come and see what kind of trash you gave birth to for me. At this moment, memories of my past life flooded my mind that I heard you the first green class to advance. Generally speaking, a class must be at least blue and reach A rank to enter the advancement stage. Why did you advance so early? And what's more, you went directly from green to the 1 in a million platinum gold. At this point, my master asked me why I was brought in here. This was a place only for those who died. I said in a low voice, that bastard deserved to die. How could he beat my mother to death like that? At this thought, my eyes became incredibly determined. I threw a heavy punch at Bai Lingsheng with all my might. But in the face of absolute strength, my attack was completely powerless. Because a skilled awakener, even without using skills, is much stronger than an ordinary person. A normal person couldn't withstand such a punch. But now I had to stand up and protect my mother. But unexpectedly, my mother suddenly stood in front of me, shaking her head, hoping Bai Lingsheng would stop. Seeing this, Bai Lingsheng sighed and closed the door. Ryun, the day I knew you were pregnant with a son, I was so happy. I thought my chance to turn things around for our family had finally come. Those 2 bastards couldn't produce a son, but I, Bai Lingsheng, could. Our family's honor still depends on me. But why? Why did you awaken the trashiest green class? A waste who can't even advance. It's all because of your trash genes. Seeing that my mother was about to be hit by the stool, I immediately activated my flash step skill in desperation. I summoned my long sword and forced Bai Lingsheng back, sternly warning the bastard not to get near my mother. Bai Lingsheng looked at his torn clothes and sneered. The aura he exuded became even more chilling. I never thought you'd have the guts to fight back one day. I gripped my long sword and stayed focused. I had to find a way to hold on until help arrived. Just then, Bai Lingxing charged at me with extreme speed. Seeing this, I quickly activated the parry skill, trying to reflect all the damage. But unexpectedly, the long sword in my hand suddenly shattered. A solid punch landed on my abdomen. The gap in attributes was just too wide. A single blow completely broke my defense. But Bai Lingxing's attacks didn't stop there. He even used the skill Piercing Black Thunder, imbuing all his attacks with an electric shock effect. I quickly covered my head with my hands to avoid nerve damage and losing consciousness. In an instant, a storm of heavy punches rained down on me. Seeing me still struggling, Bai Lingxiang found it laughable that a weak class like this deserves to be dominated by the strong. He casually picked up a nearby stool. He was about to smash it down on my mother and me with all his might. Just then, a series of urgent knocks came from the door. Seeing this, the corners of my mouth lifted slightly. The cavalry had finally arrived. Enraged, Bai Lingxing opened the door with a look of annoyance. Standing at the door were two members of the guard. Vice Captain Liang had a serious expression, questioning why it took so long to open the door. The arrival of the inspection team left Bai Lingxing bewildered. He asked in a mild tone why the vice captain was here. It turned out that 18 minutes ago, before I went upstairs, I called the guard and said that the wanted criminal, Snow, was suspected of entering my residential complex. They would definitely dispatch a team to investigate. With this opportunity, I could send Bai Lingxiang to prison. At this moment, Liang took out a wanted poster that we received a report that the wanted criminal, Snow, has appeared near this building. We're conducting a search now. Have you noticed anyone suspicious? Hearing this, Bai Lingxing gave an awkward laugh and said he hadn't seen anyone. But Liang noticed my mother and me behind him. What happened to your child? Why is he covered in injuries? Bai Lingxing lied and said I had accidentally fallen. I immediately explained that the injuries on my body were from him. My arm was hit with a stool. My head was hit with a beer bottle. This is from a punch. This is from a kick. All my injuries can be medically assessed right now. For awakeners who cannot control their violent behavior and willfully harm others, the Divine Code, Awakener Management Regulations, Chapter 8, Article 4, clearly states, if the perpetrator poses a potential danger, they must be immediately detained and imprisoned in the Awakener's prison for 15 days. These words left the two guards utterly shocked. They never thought someone my age would know the law so well. Bai Lingxing never thought I would dare to expose him. Burning with rage, he was about to kill me on the spot. Chen Jinwu quickly held him back. Liang immediately announced, "You are now under arrest according to the law. If you dare to resist, control measures will be taken." After Bai Lingxiang was taken away, the house instantly became quiet. Then, my mother rushed over and hugged me tightly, her sobs echoing in my ears. I was glad I had protected my mother this time. 15 days is enough time for me to become stronger. I will never let my mother be bullied again. And I didn't take that beating for nothing. I swiped the safe key from him during the struggle. The thing he backstabbed his teammates for back then. It allowed him to climb from the bottom of E-class all the way to his current C-class. Then, I came to his room. After moving the nightstand, I saw a safe. He had been hiding this from his family all along. In my past life, I only learned of this thing's existence after he died. With this sharp blade, I could try to solo a dungeon. Meanwhile, in the inspector team's detention room, Bai Lingxiang was begging Liang for leniency, promising he would never cause trouble again. But Liang couldn't be bothered with such scum. Bai Lingxiang continued to smile obsequiously. I heard your wife is about to give birth, Vice Captain. My good buddy opened the best postpartum care center in Chusher County. Before he could finish, Liang sternly warned him that he was bribing the inspector team. If discovered, it wouldn't be as simple as just detention. He should rest up and report to the Awakener's prison tomorrow. Seeing this, Bai Lingxiang flew into a rage, vowing to skin me alive after he gets out. Before that, I must become stronger as fast as possible. Therefore, dungeons are my only option right now. But all dungeons are currently under the jurisdiction of the gods. Non-guild members can't enter. The only dungeons I can access are those managed by the school, and the hidden dungeons I knew about from my past life. Dungeons can appear anywhere. They are another dimension parallel to our world, entered through gates that appear out of thin air. Most dungeons, once discovered, are garrisoned by guilds because they contain a large number of demonic beasts and magic or resources. They're the best choice for awakeners to improve their abilities. But dungeons are very dangerous. Usually, one must enter in a team after an official assessment. In my past life, this dungeon was reported in the news 5 years from now. Because it had been lost for too long and was never detected, it was only discovered after an incident where the demon tribe invaded the human world. Generally, an F-class dungeon requires 3 E-class awakeners. An E-class one requires a 5-person team of 3 E-class and 2 D-class awakeners. Based on the current timeline, there's a 90% chance this dungeon is F-class. This is also the lowest level hidden dungeon I can access right now. Although dungeons are fraught with danger and require the cooperation of various elemental classes in a team to increase the chances of success, I have no other choice now. I must become stronger alone as quickly as possible. After entering the dungeon, a vast world of ice and snow greeted my eyes. It's most likely the domain of cloud-type demonic beasts. Not far away, a huge bear was sound asleep. Around it were many human skeletons. It's clear that people had come here before, but failed to get out. I recognize this white bear as an E8 class demonic beast, the Icefield Bear. That means this hidden dungeon is E-class. Just then, a shadow suddenly flashed behind me. Immediately after, an E2 class bloodthirsty forest wolf lunged at me. Fortunately, my reflexes were sharp, and I easily dodged it with a leap. Then, I pushed off with my legs and launched a counterattack. A single slash cut the bloodthirsty forest wolf in half at the waist. This Kunlun blade is truly worthy of being an A-class weapon, and it can't be bought on the market. The stats it provides happen to fill the gap in my current combat power. But if I encounter a demonic beast with high defense, it would take 3 or 4 strikes to finish it, even if I aim for its vitals. I can't help but miss the days when I was L-class. An E-class profession needs to kill about 20 wolves to level up once. And to get from E to D, I need to advance 10 levels. Just then, dozens of bloodthirsty forest wolves approached me. Among them was an E4 class bloodthirsty wolf king. The smell of blood must have attracted them all. I could see they intended to surround and kill me. So I immediately leaped up and took the initiative to attack the weakest point of the wolf pack. Although these low-level bloodthirsty forest wolves don't pose much of a threat to me, because there are so many of them, I must clear them out as quickly as possible. And I have to ensure every swing hits a vital spot, relying on the combat experience accumulated in my past life. And my high proficiency with basic warrior skills, I eliminated the low-level bloodthirsty forest wolves in just a moment. Now, all that's left to deal with is this wolf king before me. I immediately burst forward with all my strength and charged at it. Countless flashes of my blade lit up around its body. The notification sound for a successful kill immediately rang in my ears. I also obtained the material Snow Wolf's Diamond. My level smoothly reached E2. I gained 12 stat points to distribute freely. I panted as I closed the notification window. I can't believe I'm this tired after killing just 20 wolves. My E-class stamina is still too poor. I need to find a way to get a dimensional backpack, or I'll have to leave a lot of loot behind. And since most dungeons are monopolized by guilds, it's very difficult for awakeners outside of them to level up. To get the chance to access high-level dungeons, joining the Gods Guild is the only option. The Awakener School is under the guild, used to screen talent for the team. The dream of most students is to become an outstanding graduate and be selected by the guild. But if you're kicked out of the team, it means you might never be able to improve again for the rest of your life. That bastard by Lingsheng was stuck at C-class forever because he was kicked out of the guild. In comparison, my leveling speed isn't fast either. Because the temperature here is too low, the longer I stay, the more stamina I consume. Then I can only solve this in the quickest way possible. With that thought, I turned and ran. Along the way, I continuously cut down large trees with my blade. The commotion attracted the attention of countless demonic beasts. A moment later, I was already completely surrounded by all kinds of demonic beasts. Then a violent explosion suddenly came from the cliff wall nearby. Seeing this, I nodded slightly. The commotion just now was to wake up all the monsters. That guy should be awake too. Just then, a giant claw descended, crushing a bloodthirsty forest wolf. The newcomer was the awakened Icefield Bear. Its massive size was a huge visual shock. In its enraged state, the Icefield Bear that will attack indiscriminately. And what I need to do is to dodge while picking off the weakened ones. The system notifications echoed in my ears. Although E-class beasts are ferocious, they basically have no brains. This bear not only helps me draw aggro, but also saves me a lot of stamina. But for the experience to fall to me, I still have to be the one to land the final blow. But even with the Icefield Bear's help, my stamina is still running low. There's still a lot of demonic beasts present. Then it's time for the next phase. At this moment, the demonic beasts charged at me like a tidal wave, completely unaware of the countless ice spikes buried beneath their feet. I immediately plunged my blade heavily into the ground. The ground instantly shattered and began to collapse. During the fight, I had been observing the surroundings. This isn't a frozen lake, but an ice bridge suspended between two canyons. In an instant, most of the demonic beasts plummeted into the bottomless abyss. My level instantly reached 7, and I obtained the title 1 against 100. When facing multiple enemies, all stats increase by 10. My remaining stamina is enough to deal with the leftover demonic beasts. But since the beginning, I've been thinking about a problem. Every dungeon has a boss. An E-class dungeon lord should be something like an E10 brutal Lion King. The commotion just now should have woken it up. Why hasn't it appeared yet? Just then, an incredibly terrifying ice magic suddenly surged forward. Seeing this, I had a bad feeling. I had actually fallen into a trap. The Lord wasn't asleep. It was waiting for an opportunity, waiting for us to exhaust most of our stamina, to come here and reap the rewards. This ice bridge was also a trap it created. I desperately tried to escape the spell's range, but due to the terrain, I was quickly frozen. I never expected that this low-level dungeon would hide an intelligent boss. At this moment, the level 11 cloud-type magic demon, Lord of the Pale Forest, appeared. Beside it were 2 E10 class Pale Forest demon monkeys as its lieutenants. My brain raced, thinking about how to break this deadlock. My entire body was frozen. I would soon die from hypothermia. At this time, the Lord of the Pale Forest slowly raised its hand and pointed. The Pale Forest demon monkey instantly attacked me. At this critical moment, I suddenly broke free from the ice and used the skill parry to reflect all the damage back. It turns out that in that instant, I used all my energy to shatter the ice. But this also caused me to consume a lot of stamina. If the Lord of the Pale Forest wants to cast another powerful magic attack, it will definitely need some time. So I must kill it before then. But just then, the Lord of the Pale Forest suddenly raised its left hand. As it clenched its fist tightly, the originally enraged Icefield Bear instantly calmed down. Its ferocious gaze was fixed on me. I had a bad feeling. The core type is inherently countered by the cloud type. Plus, with my current stamina, just beating those 2 monkeys would be tough enough. I simply can't handle such a large number of demonic beasts. At this moment, a Pale Forest demon monkey flashed over and attacked me. Just blocking the attack, I could clearly feel my stamina failing. In this desperate situation, let alone finding a chance to kill the boss, I can't even guarantee my basic survival. At this moment, the Lord of the Pale Forest raised its staff with a sinister smile. The skill Ice Storm Assault was instantly cast and rushed towards me. Seeing this, I was stunned. I didn't understand why its skill cooldown was so fast, but I quickly calmed down again. In my past life's experiences, I often faced various predicaments. Through one crisis after another, I trained a kind of perception for opportunities. Right now, I only have 2 choices. Choice 1 is to stay here and continue fighting, but my stamina has reached its limit. The survival rate is 0. Therefore, only choice 2 can break the current deadlock. With that thought, I jumped off the cliff without hesitation. This move stunned the Lord of the Pale Forest. It never expected that I would actually choose to jump off a cliff to my death. Meanwhile, Mom walked into my room, planning to wake me up for a meal. But she found no one in the bed, only a note left behind. I told Mom that I went to a friend's house to play and would be home later. But Mom knew something was wrong at a glance. If I were going to a friend's house, I would definitely have told her. And ever since I came home yesterday, she noticed that I seemed like a completely different person. It gave her an uneasy feeling. On the other side, after jumping off the cliff, I struggled to swim to the riverbank. When the ice bridge broke earlier, nearly 100 demonic beasts fell, but I only leveled up 3 times then. This means 40 demonic beasts survived. Therefore, there must be a river at the bottom of the cliff. So choice 2 was my only chance of survival. But shattering the ice again had already exhausted almost all my stamina. Plus, Falling into the river from such a height caused too much damage to my body. I'm almost at my limit. The scene before my eyes gradually blurred. What's worse, I hadn't completely escaped the danger. An E9 class glacier overlord was actually lurking at the bottom of the cliff. A flashback of my life flashed through my mind. It was the memories of my time with my teammates in my past life and the scenes of my mother's meticulous care for me. With their company in this life, I could die without regrets. But when I recalled the triumphant smile of the Lord of the Pale Forest, Bai Lingxing's disdainful gaze, and that traitor's sinister face, I won't allow my journey to end here like this. Any regrets that happened in my past life, I will absolutely not let them happen again. I've already lost once, and I've already died once, so I will never die again. With that thought, I used brute force to snap the Glacier Overlord's fangs. Immediately after, a whip kick sent it flying. At this moment, wisps of golden smoke emanated from my body. This is the sign of a profession advancement that can only be triggered in a desperate situation. Choosing to solo a dungeon, actively attracting demonic beasts, jumping off a cliff, constantly throwing myself into desperate situations was to find that feeling again. In my past life, when I killed Bai Lingxiang with my own hands, the insane surge of adrenaline in my body triggered the advancement. And now, I'm trying to find that feeling again. The system notification echoed in my ears. Profession advancement failed due to insufficient conditions. Learned advanced core type skill, Sacred Swordland. Seeing this, my eyes gleamed. Although it wasn't enough to achieve a profession advancement, I actually obtained this ultimate skill ahead of time. Then it's time to clear the obstacles in front of me. Just then, the Glacier Overlord roared and pounced at me. From behind, demonic beasts attacked like a tsunami. I stood my ground and fiercely swung the blade in my hand. The condensed blade of air instantly killed the attacking demonic beasts. Even the E10 class Glacier Overlord was cut in half at the waist. And this move was the ultimate skill, Purified Land. Fatigue cleared, stamina instantly restored. My level instantly reached E8, and I obtained the title Icefield Ronin. Resistance to cloud-type creatures plus 100. Frost damage reduction. Now it's time to go back and deal with the Lord of the Pale Forest. On the way, I continuously killed bloodthirsty forest wolves to gain experience. My level reached E9. I could clearly feel that killing E-class demonic beasts had become extremely easy, and now I can barely feel the cold. Purified Land can store all the damage I've accumulated and release it on a group all at once. But it can only be activated after accumulating enough fatigue and damage. Thanks to it, my stamina has also fully recovered. I don't know how long I've been in this dungeon. I must hurry back. Otherwise, Mom will be worried. Meanwhile, the Lord of the Pale Forest was resting inside a small hut, waiting for a new challenger to arrive. On both sides hung the E10 class Pale Forest demon monkeys. At this moment, the Lord of the Pale Forest opened its eyes, sensing a familiar aura. The next second, a large hole was suddenly blasted in the roof. Immediately after, the Icefield Bear's corpse fell into the hut. I looked at the Lord of the Pale Forest with disdain. I need to kill it as fast as possible and go home for dinner. Seeing this, the Lord of the Pale Forest pointed at me with a sinister smile. A Pale Forest demon monkey instantly flashed over and launched a fierce attack. But its movements were extremely slow in my eyes. I raised my blade and easily blocked the incoming stone hammer. Then with a backhand slash, I killed on spot. This clean counterattack greatly shocked the Lord of the Pale Forest. Not daring to be careless, it immediately waved the staff in its hand. The skill Ice Storm Assault was instantly cast. Countless basketball-sized ice projectiles smashed towards me. However, having obtained the Icefield Ronin title, I have super high cloud-type resistance. I directly ignored the attack and charged at it with my blade. In a moment of crisis, the Lord of the Pale Forest looked at the cloth bag beside it. It pulled out a staff imbued with dense magic power from it, while ordering all the Pale Forest demon monkeys to block its front. But how could this kind of defense possibly stop me now? The skill Flash was immediately activated, passing through all obstacles in front. Then, with a swift slash, I cut off the Lord of the Pale Forest arm. But my attack didn't stop there. The heaven and earth sun, and moon slash was fiercely swung. Countless blade lights landed on its body. The notification for a successful kill immediately rang in my ears, and I advanced to a D-class core-type warrior. After the string of notifications, the system prompted that the accumulation of cloud-type element was sufficient. A new profession is about to awaken. Seeing this, my eyes gleamed. I've been so focused on fighting that I forgot about this. I just don't know what cloud-type profession I will awaken. But what I never expected was that I actually awakened the red quality cloud type mage. And I can switch professions at any time. Although it's only E-class, because red quality itself has a 200 bonus, its stat strength is directly comparable to my current D-class warrior. Then I looked down. The Lord of the Pale Forest dropped the D-class mage weapon, the Stone of Magic, and a D-class magic bag that can hold 20 items. I casually picked up the items, a hint of killing intent flashing in my eyes. I immediately switched my profession to cloud-type mage mode. The remaining small fry are perfect for me to test the mage's strength. Meanwhile, Mom sat on the sofa all night without sleep. Not having seen me for a day, her expression was very downcast. She was very worried that something might have happened to me. At this moment, I pushed open the door and walked into the house. Mom, I'm sorry. I made you wait. Seeing me home, Mom immediately stood up. She rushed over and hugged me tightly. The worry in her heart vanished into thin air. Tears welled up in her eyes. I saw the food on the table had already gone cold. I knew Mom had been waiting for me all this time, without taking a single bite. As a son, I felt ashamed. I decided to move out of here with Mom and start a new life in a new environment. I used a magic bag to bring out a dozen of the most valuable items, aside from the essential weapons. Then I contacted a broker, intending to sell them all. The broker glanced at the bright red magic ore in my hand and nodded with satisfaction, offering to buy everything for 800. Hearing this price, I took back the magic ore. I stated bluntly, 8,000 apiece. If you don't want them, I'm leaving. After some haggling, I finally sold all the magic ore for 7,000 each. With this money, I can rent a very nice house for Mom. So in the afternoon, I took her to look at houses. In my past life, she never had a single good day. In this life, I just want her to enjoy herself. I could see that Mom really liked this house, so I rented it for $15,000 a month. That night, Mom and I moved in. It had been a long, long time since I saw such a relaxed smile on her face. Now that the housing issue is resolved, I've leveled up to D-class and even obtained a new profession. But Bai Lingsheng will be out of prison soon. I can't let my guard down yet. Until this matter is completely resolved, I can't go for revenge without any worries. While thinking, I polished the Stone of Magic into a bracelet. It can expand the range of my magic by 50. Tomorrow, I'll go back to school. I can go look for that thing. Meanwhile, Hong Qiangxing had just come out of a dungeon. The bodyguards behind him kept praising his good performance, but Hong Qiangxing didn't want to pay them any mind. His sister kindly ran over to hand him some water, hoping he would take a break. But unexpectedly, Hong Qiangxing slapped the water away, not wanting to waste even a second on not getting stronger. He prepared to go to the next dungeon for extra training. He was now an E3 class galaxy assassin. He was determined to show everyone who the real genius was in the simulated combat test. Meanwhile, in a high-end residential complex, a young girl with long braids was looking at a list in her hand, and she actually had an extremely rare gold-quality profession. She lamented that no gold-quality professions had appeared among this year's Awakeners. Then there's nothing to look forward to in this simulation test. The next morning, having overslept, I was hastily wolfing down breakfast. I asked Mom why she didn't wake me up. Mom gestured with her arms. You were sleeping so soundly. I couldn't bear to wake you. Eat slowly. It's okay to be late once in a while. Seeing this, a smile touched my lips. That's right. It's been a long time since I've slept so peacefully. And I've never had such a down-to-earth breakfast with my mom. While I was thinking, Mom suddenly patted me. I was startled and anxiously asked what was wrong. Mom gestured with her hands, asking if there was anything I wanted, a toy or some electronic device. I laughed and waved my hand, asking why she wanted to give me a gift. Mom pointed to the calendar on the door and gestured that next Friday was my birthday. This made my heart tremble. So June 5th is my birthday. Too much time has passed. In my past life, after Mom died, no one celebrated my birthday for me anymore. Gradually, I also forgot about this day. But I don't really want anything now, because I already have what I want most. Next is to complete one of my goals. Find a man with dreadlocks who backstabbed me and kill him. After breakfast, I arrived at the Awakeners affiliated middle school. The PE teacher announced that the hellish training for the simulated combat test would now begin, reminding everyone of its importance. The Awakeners affiliated middle school I attend is a middle school directly under the Gods Guild. The guild constantly monitors the status of every student, and the simulated combat test is the first stage for everyone to perform after awakening. It's also the middle school's graduation assessment. It will be broadcast live. The person with the most outstanding performance will have the opportunity to participate in a training journey with the high school division, to go to the Gods Guild headquarters in the Holy Heat Kingdom for training. This place is all too familiar to me. This is where I met my master. It's also the birthplace of the man with dreadlocks. But he and my master had no interaction. He only joined the team after I joined the God's Legion. Therefore, to find him now, I must get a high score in this assessment to get into the training journey. At this time, the PE teacher told everyone to start training. The first stage is physical training. Everyone is to enter the gravity room and do 10 sets of shuttle runs first. But as everyone entered the room one by one, I suddenly stepped forward and told the teacher that I didn't want to use this training room. After hearing this, the teacher's expression suddenly became serious. He asked me what was unreasonable about the physical training. I explained that physical fitness is required by almost all awakeners, so entering the gravity room is not wrong. But shuttle runs are only suitable for warriors and assassins, professions that require speed and coordination. Not everyone needs it. Mages and chanters, for example, are more suited to entering the element room for elemental control training. In fact, due to different stat points and personal habits, the focus of training should also be different for each person. These words made the teacher's expression darken. The class monitor, Chi-In, was a little shocked after hearing this, because the training method I described was the same as the training model mentioned by Mr. Dong Yang, the training officer of the God's Legion. The key is that this training model was only recently proposed. If she hadn't seen the videotape, she wouldn't have known. She didn't expect that I could think of the same thing as Mr. Dong Yang. At this time, the teacher patted my shoulder with a grim face. But the next second, his expression became friendly again. He thought the training method I mentioned was quite interesting, but there are too many students in the whole school. It would be very difficult to cater to everyone's specific needs in a short period. The simulated combat test is, to put it bluntly, everyone's middle school graduation performance. If it's messed up, it could ruin a student's life. As a teacher, whether to choose the future for the students or let the students choose their own future is also a huge dilemma. Hearing these words, I fell into deep thought. Although my original family was terrible in my past life, I was fortunate to meet many good teachers, which allowed me to grow up less twisted. Then I turned to the teacher and promised that this graduation performance would definitely not disappoint him. The teacher nodded slightly and asked how I wanted to train, remembering that I had awakened as a core-type warrior. I immediately pointed to the element room on the side and asked if he could turn the elemental cancellation to the maximum. As soon as I said this, my friends and the teacher were all dumbfounded. Why would a warrior class go to the element room to train? I quickly explained that I wanted to challenge my weakness and make my abilities more balanced. At this point, Chi-In raised her hand and said she also wanted to practice elemental control. Seeing this, the teacher sighed helplessly. We could train however we wanted, as long as we didn't embarrass him in the final assessment. On the way, the class monitor suggested that I spar with her, but I refused without hesitation. Entering the element room, the effect of elemental cancellation continuously increased. I'm already too familiar with the warrior profession, but I'm still a novice as a mage. I need to master it as soon as possible during this time. Also, I need to hide my trump card for now. I can't let others know that I can acquire other professions. This school is under the jurisdiction of the gods. They will know my every move. Exposing myself too early will likely make me a target for those people. As for these classmates, it's better not to get too involved with them. The training time passed quickly, and before I knew it, school was over. On the way home, Glasses and Bowl Cut were panting behind me. They were my best friends from middle school in my past life. We often hung out together after school because we were all stragglers and targets of bullying. That was my only happy time in middle school. But in this life, my goal is revenge. Useless socializing will only slow me down. But I'm still a little worried about that guy Glasses. Watching my retreating back as I rode away, Bowl Cut complained a little. What's up with this guy? He ran off alone again, just like on Friday. What happened to being the most miserable iron triangle? Hearing this, Glasses sighed helplessly. After that awakening, he seems to have suddenly become confident. How could someone who rides a bike be willing to wait for someone who walks. However, I still couldn't rest easy. I parked my bike on the side. I told Glasses that if he has time recently, he must go to the hospital to get his lungs checked. After saying that, I got on my bike and headed home. In my past life, during high school, Glasses was suddenly diagnosed with a lung disease. He passed away not long after taking a leave of absence due to serious illness. Even if we're not friends in this life, I hope he is at least healthy. Watching my retreating back, Bold Cut didn't understand why I had suddenly become so cold. Glasses also felt that I had indeed changed a lot, but he was sure that I was still me. Meanwhile, at the Holy He Kingdom's new recruit training ground, my master, Dong Yang, was leisurely enjoying the sunlight. I heard there's a new recruit who just joined the Gods Guild and is performing exceptionally well. After speaking, he glanced at the new recruit behind him. Are you the one who broke all the records? The man with dreadlocks nodded slightly. You flatter me, Mr. Dong Yang. I'm here to report to you. On the other side, I told Mom to try not to go out alone in the future. I would come back early in the evening and buy groceries on the way. Mom nodded in agreement. I know this isn't enough yet. I need to give Mom a more stable and safe environment as soon as possible. Meanwhile, at the Awakener's prison, inmates were lining up to receive today's dinner. Bai Lingsheng was naturally among them. With a subtle movement, he handed a few bills to a prison guard. The guard understood and whispered that he would be released in a few days. In the following days, I basically familiarized myself with the mage's operations. The key is the casting time and the calculation of elemental power. During this time, I also kindly advised my two old friends on how to correct their mistakes during training. Glasses took my advice and went for a checkup. The doctor remarked that it was fortunate he got checked in time. A parasitic tumor had already appeared in his lungs. Once it starts growing, it develops very quickly. He told him he must schedule a surgery at a major hospital soon. It will be fine once it's removed. This greatly shocked Glasses. If it weren't for a school physical he had missed, he wouldn't have specifically added a lung CT scan. He didn't understand how I would know his lungs had a problem. After the checkup, he walked alone in the school building. But he accidentally overheard news about Hong Qiangxing. These past few days, he had used the dungeon at his home to level up to 4, and he decided to find me after school today for revenge. After hearing this, Glasses immediately rushed off to save me. He guessed that Hong Qiangxing would most likely use dirty tricks, maybe even call a van full of people to outnumber me. At this thought, Glasses suddenly realized, what's the use of me going? A chanter with no attack skills is useless. Besides, it seems I don't need to confront Hong Qiangxing. After all, avoiding scumbags is his survival rule. But the next second, he smashed open a door lock without hesitation. He knew well that if I hadn't told him about his lung problem, he might have died soon. In other words, his brother gave him this life. So even if he dies, he should save his brother. Immediately, Glasses picked a giant axe from the armory. He absolutely couldn't just watch his brother get into trouble. But unexpectedly, a voice suddenly came from behind him, scaring him so much that he almost dropped his weapon. The person who arrived was none other than the class monitor, Cheen. She asked him why he was breaking into the weapons room. Glasses spoke up. I'm going to save my good brother. Meanwhile, I was walking home alone. Come on out. You've been following me ever since I left school. What do you want? Hearing this, Hong Qiangxing walked into the twilight holding a bayonet, stating bluntly that he was here to settle the score from last weekend. My brow furrowed slightly. I questioned what made him think he had the strength to defeat me. Just then, Hong Qiangxing activated his skill, Accelerate, and shot towards me. And at the very moment of contact, he activated the skill Backstab. He wanted to defeat me by surprise. Seeing this, I immediately summoned my sharp blade. Then, with a backhand strike, I sliced his bayonet in two. Hong Qiangxing was greatly shocked, not expecting my attack power to be so high. I turned my head and looked at him with an icy gaze. Did you think you're the only one who improved? With that, I gripped my blade and launched a counterattack. Something Hong Qiangxing didn't realize during our first battle. He felt in an instant at this moment, after his long training and growth. Even among his peers, the person before him was someone he could never surpass. Hong Qiangxing couldn't figure it out. He couldn't understand how I improved so quickly. He clearly trained extra at home every day after school practice. Why wasn't his desperate training as fast as mine? Hearing him talk about desperate training, I couldn't help but laugh. I pressed my blade against his neck and asked faintly, "Have you ever died?" Seeing that he was powerless to turn the tables, Hong Qiangxing roared that I could kill or torture him as I pleased. He was sure I'd long found him disagreeable. I didn't refute this, but I didn't hate him that much either. He'd follow me all this way, but chose not to ambush me. And he didn't call for others, just came alone. So he just wanted to test his strength against me. Hearing his plan being seen through, Hong Xiangxing flew into a helpless rage, telling me to cut the damn crap. If I let him go today, he would definitely get his revenge. Meanwhile, Glasses and Qi Yin were hiding and observing secretly. Seeing me completely dominating Hong Xiangxing, they realized there was no need for them to intervene. At this moment, I told Hong Xiangxing, actually, I've been waiting for you. Let's make a deal. I can tell you a way to get stronger faster, but you have to give me something in return. Time quickly passed to the day of the assessment. After a week of training, the simulated combat begins today. Before this, the teacher reminded us that although it's a simulated combat, we are still going to a real lair. Even though most of the lair's power is sealed by a barrier, it is still dangerous. After all, there are many demonic beasts inside the lair. Remember to act within your capabilities. To ensure safety, the school has also assigned outstanding seniors from the high school division to guide us. They usually won't help participate in the battle, but when we encounter danger, they will promptly intervene or stop it. This assessment will be conducted in teams of 4 to 5 people, with one senior leading 3 to 4 students into the dungeon. Students can choose between F rank or E rank dungeons. The difficulty of an E rank dungeon is naturally very high. It's not recommended to challenge it without sufficient strength. Finally, failing the challenge may result in the loss of academic credits. After the reminder, the teacher immediately announced, "We will now begin selecting the lair rank. After all students have chosen their rank, we will assign you accordingly. Now, will the students who choose the E rank lair please raise your hands?" As soon as the words fell, Qi Yin immediately raised her hand. Hong Xiangxing naturally also chose the E rank difficulty. In the end, out of 180 students, only 8 chose to go to the E rank lair, but I was not among them. When the teacher announced that the remaining students would be randomly split up to enter the F rank lairs, I suddenly raised my hand and stated that I wanted to challenge the school's D rank Lingyu lair. Seeing this, everyone mocked me for overestimating my abilities. The dean of students also immediately spoke up to reject it, saying only awakened ones of D rank or higher could enter. I bluntly stated that the school handbook had no such rule, and the rule for simulated combat was that we could choose our own rank. The school's main purpose is to find outstanding talents for the Gods Guild, and the standard for outstanding talent is courage and aptitude. Having said this, I retorted to the dean, "Are you trying to deprive me of the opportunity to show what I can do?" The dean reluctantly agreed to my request, but said the lair must be entered as a team. To this, I responded firmly, "For a D rank lair, I alone am enough." My continuous provocations made the dean a bit unhappy. He said sternly that we must follow the school rules. Teaming up is to ensure the student's safety. At this moment, the class monitor, Qi Yin, suddenly raised her hand. She changed her mind and said she also wanted to challenge the D rank lair. The dean was dumbfounded. He asked Qi Yin how he would explain it to her father if she encountered danger. But Qi Yin bluntly said she just wanted to get a high score. The dean was now both angry and anxious. Qi Yin's family background was not something he could afford to offend. Just then, Qi Yin winked at me, as if to say she was helping me out of a jam. But I maintained my previous attitude, refusing to team up and wanting to go solo. Qi Yin's face immediately flushed with anger. She asked me why I always rejected her. The gym teacher said with a faint smile that my refusal was invalid. But 2 people entering a D-rank dungeon was still risky, and it was highly unlikely any seniors would be willing to take the risk to lead us. At this time, a lavishly dressed senior suddenly raised his hand, saying he was willing to step up and protect the flowers of the motherland. The gym teacher remembered his name was Xiling. Having him lead the team was reassuring. At the same time, Qi Yin also introduced him to me. This person apparently almost joined the Ultimate School team. He indeed had some strength, but I was a bit suspicious of this guy's abilities, because I had never heard of this senior or the Ultimate School team. After all the teams were assigned, the teacher announced the immediate start of the simulated test. Inside the lair, a live broadcast pro device will be tracking and streaming the entire time. The whole testing process will be recorded. I hope everyone performs well and leaves a brilliant mark on their youth. The Awakened One's affiliated high school I attend is built on top of a large, previously conquered lair, housing both the high school and middle school divisions. The large layer gave rise to many low-level layers, which are perfect for student trials. Most of their ranks are controlled between F and D. The moment we enter the dungeon, the simulated combat begins. But the entire combat is being live-streamed. All actions will be recorded. Therefore, I must control myself well and not reveal all my trump cards in the face of unknown threats. The reason I wanted to enter the Lingyu lair is because what I need is inside. After entering the lair, Xiling guaranteed he could protect us. Even an unsealed D-rank lair, he had conquered it with others before. Hearing this, Qi curiously asked how strong the demonic beasts in a D-rank lair were. Xiling explained that, generally, they are between E5 and D5. After all, the powerful demonic beasts in the school's lairs are sealed, so D-rank monsters are unlikely to appear, let alone a boss. But even so, don't underestimate high-level E-rank monsters. Their attack power and speed can sometimes be very strong. They are indeed difficult for newly awakened newbies to deal with. Having said this, Xiling claimed he would try to find low-level demonic beasts for us to farm credits. But I'd already walked quickly in front of him. Xiling hurriedly told me to hide behind him, saying it would be very dangerous if we alerted a high-level demonic beast. I turned my head and gave him a cold look. You're annoying. Stand quietly in the back. There's no need for you to act. Hearing this, Xiling trembled with anger. A newly awakened newbie actually dared to speak to a senior like that. Meanwhile, our every move was being broadcast live. The major guilds were in the same room, observing closely. Students who catch there, I will receive their invitations. The vice captain of the ultimate school team was also watching this live broadcast. He hoped the captain would also take a look. This year's simulated test wouldn't be boring. A junior had chosen to challenge a D-rank dungeon. The captain's interest was piqued upon hearing this. He asked what class that person was. The vice captain explained that this was the most interesting part. A green quality warrior, the trashiest class, actually had the guts to challenge a D-rank dungeon. On the other side, my best friend Glasses was tackling an F-rank lair. As a chanter with no offensive abilities, he seemed completely at a loss when facing demonic beasts. And Hong Qiangsheng, who was tackling the E-rank lair, was not in a good situation either. In his team, he was now the only one with the combat power to kill the demonic beasts. But Hong Qiangsheng showed no fear, continuously fighting and killing the attacking beasts, determined to surpass me in this test. In contrast, I seemed to be handling the D-rank lair with ease. E-rank demonic beasts couldn't last 2.5 seconds under my blade. Before long, the ground before me was covered with demonic beast corpses. Qi Yin's gaze towards me was filled with envy. She asked me how on earth I did it. I explained that the monsters here were all sealed and could only use half their strength, so they weren't hard to deal with. But even so, Qi Yin could see I was very strong. Even with half their strength, fighting many at once was a reality. She was still far behind me. After hearing this, I calmly continued deeper into the lair, telling her there was no need to compare herself to anyone. Just do her best. See me act so cool. Xiling was already grinding his teeth. He warned me that this was a D-rank dungeon, and being conceited would surely lead to trouble. With that, he was about to give me some advice as a senior, but I had no desire to listen to him ramble. I told Qi Yin to deal with the demonic beasts coming from the right. I would deal with the ones on the left. I knew this simulated combat tested individual ability. The demonic beasts on the right were of a lower level. Qi Yin alone should be enough to handle them. This way, both she and I could get good scores. At this moment, Xiling, whom I had been ignoring, had an extremely ugly expression. A longbow quietly materialized in his hand. He was going to let me know how serious the consequences of disrespecting a senior were. The young man had just casually slain a demonic beast. But it greatly shocked the teachers watching the live broadcast because they knew I had just awakened as a core-type warrior. Yet I could one-shot an E-rank demonic beast with every swing of my blade. And they saw that the reason I let the class monitor clear the beasts on the right was because I had observed the elemental counters, letting the flower-type class monitor deal with the star-type demonic beasts. This made the teachers appreciate me even more. In a test of individual ability, having such a strategic overview was rare and commendable. The gym teacher recalled what I had once told him. This graduation performance would not disappoint him. He couldn't help but start looking forward to what I would do next. In fact, I had just observed that the star-type beasts basically all came from the cave on the right. Not only were they low level, but they were also countered by Qi Yin's flower type element. Furthermore, at E rank, mages already possess a basic skill unique to their class. And Qi Yin's skill was to use plants to create a poison wall. But for her first time in a lair, to be able to calmly face monsters of a higher level than herself alone, and even think of using the wall to surround and narrow the area to kill the monsters, she indeed had a certain talent. At this time, I arrived at the entrance of the left cave. The D-rank monsters should all be sealed. Qi Yin alone was enough to handle these low-level demonic beasts. In this situation, even in front of the live broadcast pro, I could hide my strength and get a high score. But I needed to find a way to evade the surveillance and get inside. But just then, the senior Xiling suddenly drew his bow and aimed at Qi Yin. Without the slightest hesitation, he released the bowstring. An arrow flew past Qi Yin at an extremely fast speed, heading straight into the cave on the left. Qi Yin was just about to ask him what he meant when Xiling quickly said he was trying to give her a buff, but missed his shot. At the same time, a colossal beast rushed out of the cave. A closer look revealed it was 8D11, rank 2-headed maned lion. Seeing this, Qi Yin hurriedly channeled her magic power to create a vine wall. But due to the rank difference, the 2-headed maned lion quickly broke free from the restraints. Just as Qi Yin was about to die in its gaping maw, Xiling's eyes became crazed. He knew it was his turn to perform. However, I had long since noticed that something was wrong. The skill, Rapid, activated instantly. I rushed over to support her at top speed. My blade swung down fiercely, slashing across the 2-headed maned lion's face. The 2-headed maned lion retreated a few steps in pain. One of its head's eyes had been slashed blind, but I still didn't understand how this monster was so fast. Behind me, Xiling now wore a sinister expression. He knew this lair very well. Although most of the Durang demonic beasts were sealed, a single overlooked 2-headed lion in this cave would constantly respawn. Newly awakened recruits were completely unable to handle this kind of monster. And the arrow he had just shot was specifically to add a buff to the 2-headed maned lion. Gravity reduced by 10 times. Damage and speed significantly increased. My expression grew solemn. Could it be that I had to use my full strength to defeat this monster? But I quickly abandoned this cowardly thought. I told Qi Yin to retreat to the back first. At this moment, the 2-headed maned lion lunged at us with a ferocious look. Qi Yin hurriedly channeled her magic power and used the skill vine wall. The 2-headed maned lion was instantly imprisoned on the spot. Having suffered a loss earlier, Qi Yin continued to channel her magic power. Under the restraint of a 3-layered vine wall, the 2-headed maned lion was unable to attack. This scene left me dumbfounded. I didn't expect this girl to have such a move. Qi Yin then told me she didn't want to run away alone. Even if the demonic beast was D rank, she wanted to face it with me. She had worked so hard, she couldn't just give up in a place like this. Hearing this, I gave a faint smile. I thought she would have been scared stiff, but I didn't expect her to adjust so quickly. I told her to watch her elemental power consumption, as she couldn't just randomly use skills from now on. I remembered the Qi Yin from my past life, who was already shining brightly in middle school. A confident and optimistic young lady. Although I heard her family background was profound, she was kind of everyone. She became the class monitor in middle school and was very serious and responsible in her duties. But later, there was no news of her. Perhaps she lived an ordinary, common life. But she is a trustworthy person right now. As long as no other accidents happen, I should be able to hide my strength and pass this stage. Seeing that we actually wanted to kill a demonic beast above our rank, and still weren't begging him, the senior, for help, Xiling flew into a rage. He knew that real combat wasn't just about confidence. Newly awakened rookies couldn't possibly deal with this enhanced D-rank demonic beast. Therefore, he decided to continue watching, waiting until we had no choice but to ask him for help before making a move. Just then, the 2-headed maned lion completely broke free from the vine wall's restraint. I told Qi Yin that I would lure the lion, and she should find the right moment to strike. With that, she and I ran in opposite directions. Since I had just inflicted damage on the 2-headed maned lion, its priority target was now me. So I immediately ran towards the river. Then I jumped into the river without hesitation. Just as I expected, the 2-headed maned lion would surely enter the water to continue its pursuit. and as a core-type demonic beast, it would fall into a fatal situation. In an instant, countless vines suddenly emerged from under the water and entangled it. It turned out to be Chi-In, who had found the right moment to strike from the riverbank. As she faintly uttered the word constrict, the two-headed maned lion, which could easily break free from the vine wall before, was now helpless. Its berserk and core-type states were nullified, and it fell into a poisoned state. I took the opportunity to swim from the bottom of the water to the shore. I told Chi-In that the two-headed maned lion was now a lamb to the slaughter. Killing it would be enough to get the highest score on the test. I was clearly the school's acknowledged weakest warrior. Yet I could switch to the mage class at any time during battle. Even the Helm Mammoth, the lord guarding the lair, couldn't last 2.5 seconds against me. It turned out that not long ago, we had successfully hunted the two-headed maned lion. We just needed to land the final blow to get the highest score on the test. Xiling, who was watching from the side, was already dumbfounded. He couldn't believe a single layer of vine wall could actually trap the two-headed lion. Even if he had acted, it wouldn't have been so easy to subdue it, especially since he had intentionally enhanced the two-headed maned lion. The teachers watching the live broadcast provided the answer. The core-type lion was lured into the water, which prevented it from using its skills. In the water, however, the flower-type ability was enhanced. Using the simplest elemental counters and teamwork, they easily subdued a demonic beast of a higher rank than themselves. Their on-the-spot reaction and leadership skills were both outstanding. At this point, the teachers concluded that the top spot in this combat test was already decided. Once they finished off the two-headed maned lion, the entire recording would be submitted to the guild for review. They would likely get the highest score in history. But just then, the live broadcast was suddenly cut off, and the person who destroyed the live broadcast pro was none other than the furious Xiling. As long as there was no video proof, we wouldn't get the highest credits. And at this moment, Chi-In and I were completely unaware. I told her that her abilities were indispensable to this victory. You trained your elemental resistance enough to be able to use a single skill with so many variations to trap it. Just then, Xiling walked over with an impatient look on his face, telling us if we wanted to exchange pleasantries, we should go outside and chat slowly. With that, he walked towards the lair's entrance filled with great resentment. I then spoke calmly. You knew what suddenly strengthening a D-rank demonic beast meant for students entering a lair for the first time, didn't you? Xiling explained that he originally intended to buff Chi-In, but he just missed his shot. Hearing this, I sneered, "As an archer, you can't even guarantee your aim. Your skill is truly pathetic." Chi-In beside me added insult to injury. No wonder you couldn't get into the ultimate school team. As soon as she said this, Xiling immediately took out his longbow, clearly becoming enraged from embarrassment. Seeing this, I immediately stood in front of Chi-In with no trace of fear in my eyes. Xiling was involuntarily intimidated by my aura. He put away his longbow, turned, and walked towards the entrance, stating bluntly that the road ahead was long, and who knew who would be glorious. After the commotion subsided, I noticed the destroyed live broadcast pro. I didn't have to think to know that guy did it. His purpose was to prevent me and Chi-In from getting high scores. Now, no one can see the situation here. After he goes out, he'll need an entry permit to come back in, and the others are quite a distance from this lair. This just created enough time for me to go get what I want from the lair. Afterwards, Chi-In and I came to the front of the sealed cave. I hoped she could keep everything that was about to happen a secret from me, although even if she told anyone, no one would believe her. Chi-In was completely confused, not understanding what I was planning to do. I casually took a stone out of my pocket. This was the very thing I had asked Hong Qiangxing for, an unsealing magic stone. I placed the magic stone on the pile of rocks at the cave entrance. A dark red light bloomed wantonly, and what I was going to do was completely unseal the D-rank lair. Seeing this, Chi-In hurriedly urged me to stop. After unsealing it, all the high-level demonic beasts inside would pour out. The two of us alone couldn't possibly handle them. I told her not to worry. Their power was still affected by the seal, and next I alone could solve it. With that, I immediately switched to a red-quality cloud-type mage. Chi-In looked on dumbfounded. She didn't understand why I could also become a mage. I had no time to explain. I told her to go wait at the exit first. Just then, 3 two-headed maned lions suddenly rushed out of the cave. I immediately channeled my elemental power and cast the skill Crystallize. The menacingly charging two-headed maned lions were instantly frozen into ice sculptures. Chi-In covered her mouth in shock, not expecting my mage class to actually be red quality. I turned my head and told her these demonic beasts had been sealed inside for so long. They must be pent up. They would all rush out at once soon. Therefore, I needed a larger area. Chi-In understood and immediately took several steps back, promising not to cause me any trouble. At this moment, a D12, rank blazing flame leopard rushed out of the cave. I knew that although these demonic beasts were rank, they had been sealed for a long time, and their power had decayed by at least half. And my mage skill was crystallize. Controlling all of them was the primary goal. Just then, I felt a sudden surge of killing intent from behind me. I immediately switched to a core-type warrior, while noticing that the one attacking me was a D13 rank fire saber-tooth. The skill, Flash Step, activated immediately. After getting behind it, I switched back to a cloud-type mage. The skill, Crystallize, instantly froze it into an ice sculpture. Chi-In, who had watched the whole process, was dumbfounded. She never expected I could switch classes so freely. And seeing my current operation, she finally understood why I wanted to enter the elemental room to train my elemental resistance back then. It's because the essence of the mage class is actually to output energy directly in the form of natural forces or to manipulate objects of the same element within a certain range. Before, she thought that the stronger the magic power and the more times a spell could be cast, the more powerful one was. But after watching my operation, she realized that control over power is more important. Elemental power comes from nature. It is a wild, primitive force that is difficult to tame. Only by completely controlling one's own elemental power can one create more variations in moves. Even a basic skill could achieve more uses in my hands. As I controlled countless solid ice blocks to smash down heavily, the demonic beasts in front of me were all, without exception, frozen into ice. At this moment, Chi-In finally knew that I had left all of them far behind long ago. But she had to admit, she found this version of me very cool. At this time, the Lord of the Lingyu lair finally appeared. It was a D15 rank Hell Mammoth. Seeing this, I switched to a core-type warrior and took out my sharp blade. I immediately leaped up and jumped onto its head, attacking its vital points. The sharp blade continuously cut through its thick fur, leaving an extremely long wound on its body. I have to say, the strength of a sealed rank 15 mammoth was not even comparable to a rank 10 monkey. At this moment, the Hell Mammoth turned and charged at me. I went with the momentum, continuously hacking at its vitals with my blade. One of the Hell Mammoth's legs instantly lost its strength. Seeing this, I frantically mobilized my elemental power. The killing move, a Pure Land, instantly cut it in half at the waist. I obtained the Title 1 against 100. And the fate of those demonic beasts I had frozen was the same. The notification sounds of kills echoed continuously in my ears. At the same time, I also obtained a high-grade material, Jade Tusk. It is an essential material for forging the S-rank core-type weapon, Blazing Innocence. I casually put it into my magic bag. Then I looked down at the jade pendant that dropped from the Hell Mammoth. This response jade was exactly what I needed most right now. The first thing the young man did after returning home from school was to urge his mother to always carry this jade stone with her. This was because his father, a violent man, had been released from prison early, and this jade stone was the key item to protect his mother. If she encountered danger, she just needed to crush the jade stone, and I would immediately appear by her side. It turned out that I had successfully obtained this response, Jade, not long ago. At the same time, my mage class also leveled up to D rank, and the Title 1 against 100 was upgraded to one man holding the pass. And Chi-Yin's level also reached E7. I reminded her not to forget what I had said. I hoped she could keep everything that happened here secret. Meanwhile, the teachers detected that the seal of the Lingyu lair had been broken and were rushing towards the entrance in a panic. On the way, they happened to run into Xiling, questioning how he came out by himself. Shouldn't he be inside protecting his juniors? But due to the urgency of the matter, the teachers didn't have time to get the specific details. The top priority was to enter the lair and confirm the student's safety. After learning that the seal was broken, Xiling revealed a sinister smile, sneering that this was the consequence of offending a senior. However, when the teachers entered the Lingyu lair, they found that Chi-In and I were completely unharmed, and the unsealed cave had long been secretly sealed again by me. On the other side, Xiling went to see the vice captain of the ultimate school team. He bluntly said that the materials he submitted this time were very thorough and asked if the last team member's spot should be reserved for him. Hearing this, the vice captain shook his head slightly, saying the captain already had someone in mind. As soon as these words were spoken, Xiling was struck as if by lightning, his face full of disbelief. He grabbed the vice captain's arm and questioned angrily, "Didn't we agree that this spot would be left open for the most valuable person? Are my strength and background not enough?" During the argument, the captain walked over slowly, explaining that she had already found the most valuable person. And the captain of the ultimate school team was actually my teammate from my past life, He Lo. The person she had her eye on was me. Meanwhile, at a street stall outside the school, Inspector Investigator Chun Jinwoo sternly warned by Ling Sheng, telling him not to cause any more trouble. It had taken a lot of effort to get him out early this time. He also said he had received the latest news. Captain Hong would be back next Friday, telling Bai Ling Sheng to be aware of the situation. Bai Ling Sheng, slurping his noodles, nodded slightly, telling him not to worry. At this moment, Vice Captain Liang suddenly called. Seeing this, Chen Jinwoo's face was full of disdain. He stated that he had to return to the team now and told Bai Ling Sheng to go home early too. Bai Ling Sheng's expression instantly turned sinister. He said in a low voice that of course he would go home early. But when he got home, he was completely dumbfounded. He was shocked to find the house completely empty. Furious, he began smashing the furniture frantically. He swore that if he found out where we were, he would definitely kill us without mercy. Meanwhile, I hung one of the response jades on my mother, urging her to always keep it with her from now on. And I would carry the other piece with me. If she ever encountered danger, she just needed to crush this jade. My jade would sense it, and then I would immediately come to my mother's side. It was because I didn't have this item before that I really couldn't rest easy with my mother going out alone. In my memory, my mother had never received any necklaces or jewelry. She had never gotten any of the things a woman should enjoy. This made me, as her son, feel a bit guilty. Just then, my mother gestured to me with her hands, telling me not to always hover around her on the weekends. At this age, I should go out and have fun with friends more often. I gave a faint smile and shook my head slightly, reassuring my mother that I had no such need. My mother hurriedly gestured with her hands, saying, "How could a person not need friends? You must have your own important people." Of course, I knew I had important people and friends, but I just didn't know if I could meet that group of guys in this life. At 11:58 p.m., I arrived before a wild Durank lair. This was another hidden lair that I knew of. It only opened briefly at midnight and would close at 1 a.m., so I didn't have much time. It was time to focus on improving myself. In my past life, I had already become a top-tier warrior, yet I could still only watch helplessly as my comrades died before my eyes. At this thought, I summoned my blade and charged forward to kill. With just one strike, I one-shot a D13 rank bloodthirsty flower. At this moment, I remember my mother asking me why I didn't make some friends. This was like a thorn in my heart. So what if I made friends? One day, on a whim of the gods, we would still die without a burial place. Therefore, I must become stronger, become faster, until I'm stronger than everyone else. The notification, sounds of kills echoed continuously around me. But this experience was far from enough. I must fight desperately. I'm too weak right now. I can't even beat that man, let alone that genius who was a gold quality archer class since childhood. So I have no detours or shortcuts to take. I cannot avoid any enemy. A novice warrior takes on a D-rank hidden demon alone. But I never expected there to be two lords guarding the demon. What's worse is that while I was caught in a tough battle, my father, who was released from prison early, actually found my mom's new home. Therefore, I must clear out the demon's den as quickly as possible and hurry home to protect mom's safety. It turns out that not long ago, I came to the hidden demon to raise my level. When I activated my elemental power and used the finishing move, Pure Land, all the demonic beasts blocking my way were sliced in half at the waist. My originally scarred body also instantly recovered. But the entrance to this demon's den will close in just 20 minutes. I must hurry and deal with the lords. Afterward, I cautiously walked deeper into the demon's den. I soon sensed a sudden surge of killing intent not far away. I saw a demonic beast perched impressively on a large tree ahead. It was the D20 rank lord Yi Wuming. In the blink of an eye, it suddenly vanished on the spot, reappearing right in front of me. Seeing this, I immediately summoned the Kunwa blade. With a swing of my hand, I directly severed its incoming heavy fist. But Yi Wuming's expression remained incredibly calm. The self-heal skill activated instantly. A brand new arm immediately grew out. I couldn't help but be a little surprised. How could this self-healing ability be so strong? At this moment, Yi Wuming plunged its arm into the ground. Countless emerald vines instantly sprouted all around. Immediately after, the demonic beasts I had killed were resurrected on the spot. I was extremely puzzled. Logically, a D-rank lord shouldn't have resurrection abilities. While I was pondering, I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my abdomen. Only then did I realize my stomach had been pierced by a spike that had struck at some unknown moment. And the one who ambushed me was actually the second lord, C.I. Wuming. He is Yi Wuming's twin brother. The time was now 1 a.m. The entrance and exit of the demon's den were closed. Meanwhile, my failure to return home on time made Mom very worried. No matter if she sent messages or called, she received no response from me. This gave her a bad feeling, and she decided to go out and look for me. She guessed that I must have gone to some dangerous place again, just like last time. But what was worse was that Ling Sheng had somehow found out about my mom's new address. Braving the heavy rain, he slowly walked to the entrance of the high-end residential complex, determined to beat me and Mom into severe paralysis tonight. And during this time, I had already killed the twin lords a full 5 times. But they could instantly recover and get back up. Moreover, those resurrected demonic beasts would frequently attack me. However, killing them doesn't grant experience or items again. It only consumes my stamina. Therefore, my most urgent task now is to find the source of their constant resurrection. I immediately activated Flash Step to appear before C.I. Wuming. My blade accurately pierced its vital point, but its wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was Yi Wuming behind it that had activated its healing ability, but I had tried attacking this one before. Even if I cut off its head, it could still self-heal immediately. This ability is just too broken. It constantly resurrects dead demonic beasts and can also instantly heal its injured teammate. You have to know, even healers above S rank can't achieve this level. What on earth is boosting its power? Or is there some place storing a large amount of healing energy? While I was thinking, C.I. Wuming suddenly activated the skill Flash Step, appearing at my side in almost the blink of an eye. I hurriedly used the block skill to neutralize the attack. At the same time, the parry skill triggered, reflecting the full physical damage back to the opponent. I never would have thought that after this exchange, this guy would actually learn my moves. At this moment, C.I. Wuming faintly uttered 3 words. "You are strong." After speaking, the wounds on its body healed once again. But this time, I saw clearly what was pulling the strings behind the scenes. A confident look appeared on my face. The large tree behind C.I. Wuming is the energy center. Seeing this, I immediately severed C.I. Wuming's arm and charged forward. I knew that the Lord's healing power was only able to work on such a large scale because of this tree's existence. So as long as I cut down these large trees, I can kill them for good. In an instant, I raised my hand and sliced the large tree in half at its waist. At the same time, I switched my class to Cloud-type Mage. I immediately released the skill Crystallize. C.I. Wuming and Yi Wuming were instantly frozen into ice sculptures. Then, I switched back to Core-type Warrior. My blade instantly pierced through Yi Wuming's chest. Just as I expected, after Yi Wuming and the tree fell, they lost all their healing and resurrection abilities. At the same time, I also obtained the high-grade item, 100 Spirit Grass. It can instantly restore 50 of stamina and heal most physical damage. At this moment, C.I. Wuming broke free from the crystallized restraint. But now, it can no longer pose a threat to me. But to my utter surprise, C.I. Wuming actually opened its arms, letting me kill it. This was the first time I had seen a lord like this. Perhaps it was because its brother had died in battle and it didn't want to live on alone. I immediately raised my hand and killed it with one strike, which could be considered fulfilling its wish. Obtained high-grade material, Poison Thorn. It is an essential material for crafting the S-rank flower-type weapon, Unrestrained Poison Pierce. After this battle, my Core-type Warrior level reached D15, and my Cloud-type Mage reached D13. Furthermore, I had accumulated enough flower-type elements. A new class was about to awaken. Colorful flowers instantly swirled around me. I began to look forward to what color class would awaken this time, but I never expected to awaken the blue-quality flower-type summoner. However, for the summoner class, the stat requirements aren't high. I just don't know what the main skills are like. I immediately opened the panel to check. I never thought this flower spirit contract would be so overpowered. After defeating a flower-type demonic creature, you can sign a contract with its soul and make it serve you. Currently, I can contract 2 targets, and it just so happens that I just defeated 2 flower-type lords. The passive skill, Field of Flowers, triggered. I saw the souls of Yi Wooming and Ci Wooming. I immediately activated the skill, Flower Spirit Contract. I faintly uttered 2 words. Rise. From then on, the 2 great lords became my contract beasts. To completely escape the control of his abusive father, the young man crazily took on major hidden demon layers all by himself, just to have enough strength to kill him the next time they meet. And he specially wove a flower-type bracelet for his mom. If she were to encounter unavoidable danger, the 2 great lords within the bracelet would immediately appear to protect her. It turns out that not long ago, I awakened my 3rd class flower-type summoner. At the same time, Bai Lingsheng had already arrived at the entrance of the residential complex. But suddenly, the sound of a phone ringing stopped his steps. After answering, he heard Chun Jinwu's voice, telling Bai Lingsheng to come attend Captain Hong's dinner party. After hearing the news, Bai Lingsheng immediately turned and left the complex, promising that he would definitely fight for it, prepare a lavish gift for Captain Hong, and absolutely not waste this great opportunity to return to the guild. After hanging up, Bai Lingsheng's face was full of smiles. He exclaimed that today was truly a good day. He decided not to go to Mai and Mom's new home tonight, but to go catch up with his own younger sister instead. Just a few short minutes later, Mom also arrived at the entrance of the complex. She happened to see me walking into the complex with groceries I had just bought. I quickly walked up to Mom, held the umbrella over her head. "Let's go home, Mom." After returning home, I gave the woven flower-type bracelet to Mom, explaining that the reason I went out at night was to give her this belated Mother's Day gift. But even though Mom couldn't speak, she knew that I had been going to dangerous places during this time. After dinner, I lay on my bed, lost in thought. I currently have a total of 3 classes: a green warrior, a blue summoner, and a red mage. 2 of the combat classes have already reached D rank. And although the newly awakened flower-type summoner is only E rank, as its level increases, the number of contracts I can have will increase. And after advancement, I can contract demonic creatures of any element. But this is still far from enough. Bai Lingsheng was imprisoned on the 21st. It's now the 10th day. He will be released in 5 more days. But with his personality, the possibility of him bribing the guards to get out early is not 0. That's why I prepared these things in advance, just in case. The next morning, I came to another hidden demon's den. I knew that avoidance wouldn't solve the problem. Before the training journey, I must completely resolve this matter. In just a few short hours, I'd already cleared 4 hidden demon lairs, but still far from enough. I can't be idle for a moment these next few days. I need to raise my class levels to C rank as soon as possible. The next time I meet Bai Lingsheng, I will be stronger than him. At this moment, the system suddenly sounded a notification. I have obtained a new title, Lone Wolf Hero. Obtained item, Hero's Key. After meeting certain conditions, the Tower of Heroes can be unlocked. In the blink of an eye, it was Monday morning. Teacher Huang announced that the final assessment results were out. Chi-Yin and I took the first and second highest scores in the entire school, respectively. Furthermore, the recording of my performance was sent to headquarters for careful analysis and was ultimately rated as the highest score in history. So this time, Chi-Yin and I have obtained the qualifications for the training journey. Also, because of my outstanding performance at the time, I will receive the qualification to be received by the Divine Clan. This made many classmates envious, because an audience with the Divine Clan is an honor that not even clergy members are guaranteed to receive. This unexpected surprise was something I never imagined. To think I'd be able to meet that group of people so soon. My best buddy, Glasses, was genuinely happy for me. He knew I would definitely shine. Meanwhile, in the dean's office, Dean Hong Liang asked Hong Qiangxing, "Are you sure you don't want to go? Your dad finally made a trip back this time. You could totally use the excuse of going to headquarters with him to tag along on this training journey." Hearing this, Hong Qiangxing immediately refused. He believed that since he only got 3rd place this time, he didn't deserve to go if he didn't earn the qualification. He didn't want others to think he relied on his father for everything. Hearing this, Hong Liang couldn't help but show a gratified expression. He didn't expect Hong Qiangxing to have such integrity. He also really hoped hoped his father could see his growth. At this moment, Hong Qiangxing asked Hong Liang to do him a favor, to open the access to the sealed rank demon's den on the back mountain. The reason he gave was also very simple. He wanted to get stronger on his own. On the other side, in the principal's office, Xiling begged his uncle to let him go on this training journey. He was, after all, the sole heir of the Z family. Principal Zi Yunqing's expression turned serious after hearing this. He naturally knew Xiling was the sole heir of the Z family. But how could he still be so impulsive? On the day of the combat test, how could he do such a thing? Strengthening demonic beasts to backstab his juniors. As soon as these words were spoken, Xiling's expression suddenly became very flustered. Before he could explain, the principal suddenly slammed the table hard. Do you think the people in charge are idiots? That they can't see through your clumsy tricks? If I hadn't suppressed the matter, do you think you could still stay in this school? At this point, Xiling's legs began to tremble uncontrollably. He hurriedly knelt down and admitted his mistake, promising it would never happen again. Seeing this, the principal coldly told him to stand up. He stated that it was also because of Xiling's actions that the higher-ups discovered me, this special person, and felt that something was off about me. This is an invitation letter that all students dream of. Accepting the invitation means one's life will be set on a smooth path to success. But I repeatedly rejected the invitation from the Ultimate School team. This made my past life teammate develop a strong interest in me. She decided to personally recruit me into the team in her capacity as the captain. It turns out that not long ago, my strength made the higher-ups feel that something was off. Principal Zi Yunqing stated that my growth curve was too unreasonable, so this time someone from the Divine Clan wanted to meet me personally. He also decided to help Xiling tag along on this training journey, but the prerequisite was that he had to control his bad temper. If he caused any more trouble, he wouldn't be able to protect him. Xiling's face immediately lit up with joy as he thanked his uncle, the principal. At the same time, he silently schemed to give me an unforgettable memory during this training journey. And also He Lu, who rejected his request to join the Ultimate School team. He swore that sooner or later he would make her his. Meanwhile, I received an invitation letter from the Ultimate School team. This made the classmates envious because this was the strongest school team. Joining them meant being able to directly enter the Divine Guild without an exam. And its founder is the school's only golden assassin this year. Usually, everyone has to apply desperately just for a chance to join. My best buddy, Bullcut, was now in tears, happy to have such an outstanding brother. I then got up and took the invitation letter in my hand. Then, without hesitation, I threw it into the trash can. The classmates didn't understand why I would refuse. Such a great future was handed to me on a platter. I didn't want it. I didn't respond to this. I just said I had something to do and left the classroom. Bullcut looked at the invitation in the trash can and felt it was a pity. This was an opportunity he could never have in his lifetime. Glasses, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up. They don't understand him. Don't you understand either? He probably won't join anyone's guild at all. To him of today will only be a leader. After nightfall, I went to the school's back mountain alone. And Hong Qiangxing was already waiting at the entrance of the demon's den. He said he had gotten access to the D-rank demon lairs. No one would come to this area at night. I nodded slightly. I felt that a D-rank demon lair was too difficult for him. How about we start with an E-rank one first? Hong Qiangxing immediately retorted for me to cut the crap. He said he wouldn't hold me back when the fighting started. I had promised him before to show him practical combat skills and a way to get stronger quickly, but the condition was that he had to get me access to the school's demon lairs. But what I didn't expect was that he went straight for all the D-rank demon lairs. At this moment, Hong Qiangxing was knocked to the ground by a demonic beast. I kindly asked if he needed my help. Hong Qiangxing immediately told me to get lost, that he could handle it himself. After speaking, he picked up his bayonet and attacked the demonic beast again. I watched from the side while lost in thought. I had accidentally obtained the hero's key before. It's the key item to unlock the Tower of Heroes, but the prerequisite is that my class must reach B rank to use it. I've already cleared almost all the wild demon lairs I could find. The ones at school are my only channel for leveling up now. You have to know, the higher the class level, the more experience is needed to level up. After reaching D rank, leveling up has slowed down a lot. But luckily, there are enough demonic beasts. This amount of experience is sufficient. For the next few days, Hong Qiangxing and I basically trained in the D-rank demon lairs. During this period, invitation letters from the Ultimate School team were delivered every day, but I still had no intention of accepting. After 3 days, Hong Qiangxing successfully advanced to D rank. He exclaimed that entering the demon lairs was much more interesting than being accompanied by those stupid bodyguards at home. And I finally raised my warrior class to C rank. My cloud-type mage reached D19, and my flower-type summoner also reached D11. My current stats are enough to deal with by Ling Sheng. And after reaching C rank, I also have a brand new skill. After returning home, Mom gave a meaningful smile and gestured with her hands, asking me if I'd been dating some cute girl these past few days. I immediately waved my hands, saying how could that be possible? I'm just a middle school student. Mom continued to gesture. Then you're coming home so late every day. Could it be that you're messing around with your buddies? It's also very normal to have a girl you like. For someone you care about and like, you should bravely pursue them. Don't wait until you've lost the chance to feel regret. Hearing these words, my expression suddenly became solemn. I did indeed have a girl I cared about. She was my teammate from my previous life, Hilo. Although this girl was usually carefree and liked to stick to me, every time we were on a mission together, she was very serious and focused. I could entrust my back to her without hesitation. But this girl would ask for a hug every time we completed a mission, making me, the captain, run away blushing every time. It wasn't until all of us were tragically backstabbed by the man with dreadlocks that I realized, no matter what kind of feelings I had never once actively hugged her. In my past life, it was only after being rescued from death row by my master that I met Hilo. I met her in the capital of the Holy He Kingdom. I don't know where she would be now. It will be very difficult for me to meet her again in this life. In this second life, only I retain the memories of my past life. Even if we met, there probably wouldn't be any connection between us anymore. However, what I didn't know was that she and I would meet in the near future. The vice captain of the Ultimate School team sent a message to Hilo. He still hasn't responded. It seems he's not very interested in our school team. After washing up, Hilo saw this message and smiled calmly. She developed a great interest in me, a middle school student. She decided to personally deliver the invitation letter herself tomorrow. The young man celebrates the first birthday of his life. His classmates all gave him their most precious gifts. And the teammate who went through life and death with me in my past life gave a surprise attack that shocked the entire school. It turns out that not long ago, Hilo had decided to deliver the invitation letter personally. The next day when I woke up, I received a gift from Mom. Mom wished me a happy birthday through sign language. Only then did I remember that today was my birthday. And the gift Mom gave me was a scarf she had knitted herself, wishing my dear son to be happy forever and to be able to bravely live the life he chooses. I was naturally very touched, but summer didn't seem like the right season for a scarf. So I asked Mom if she knew I was going to the Holy He Kingdom soon. Mom nodded slightly and gestured with her hands. The temperature difference between day and night there is very large. You have to take care of yourself. Mom will take care of herself too. My heart suddenly trembled. It turns out Mom has always known what I've been doing, silently supporting me from behind. As I was feeling emotional, Mom suddenly handed me a stack of money, telling me to treat my best friends to a meal today. Looking at the money in my hand, I sighed helplessly. What friend do I have now? After finishing breakfast, I arrived at school. Unexpectedly, there was an extremely exquisite figurine on my desk. Having never been exposed to anime culture, I was puzzled. I couldn't tell which character this was. Boldcut excitedly asked me what I thought of his gift. This was his favorite model. Today, he was parting with his beloved possession to give it to me as a birthday gift. Glasses, who was standing nearby, immediately walked over, thinking that a gift like a figurine was too tacky. And he bluntly said that the gift he was giving was something he had gone through great pains to get. I looked down and was instantly filled with shock. This was actually the original tape of my favorite movie, The Prestige. In my past life, I often ran to the shed with glasses to secretly watch banned prehistoric movies. Glasses hurriedly told me in a low voice that the teachers couldn't find out about this thing and that I must put it away properly. Hearing this, I immediately stuffed the original tape into my desk, and I sincerely thanked him for the gift. Just then, the class monitor, Chi-een, also walked over. With a smile, she handed me the birthday gift she had carefully prepared. Bowl cut and Glasses looked over and immediately gasped in surprise, exclaiming at how generous the class monitor was. The gift was actually an A-rank mage weapon transmogrification gem. I have to say, this gift moved me, but this thing was far too valuable, so I hoped Chi-een would take it back. Chi-een smiled and told me to accept it without worry, saying that if it weren't for me, she wouldn't be able to participate in the training journey either. It wasn't anything particularly precious, and she had many more at home. Besides, it should be very helpful to me right now. Hearing this, I fell into deep thought. I really do need to improve myself right now. There's no reason to refuse. She must have seen me using the lowest level mage weapon when I switched classes, which is why she gave me this transmogrification gem. She really is a very thoughtful girl. But what moved me the most was that these guys actually all remembered my birthday and prepared gifts for me so seriously. I had originally planned to just quietly leave this place without forming any bonds or entanglements with them. But now I have abandoned that idea. The three of them are important people to me. Let's have dinner together tonight. My treat. Are you guys free? As soon as I finished speaking, the three of them immediately shouted that they were free. Bowl cut said he would decide on the place to eat. At this moment, I heard the discussions of the classmates behind me. Why are people from the high school division here in the middle school division? It seems like they're heading towards our class. Meanwhile, the entire floor was abuzz with discussion, saying that the captain of the ultimate school team was coming to personally invite me to join. Seeing this, I stood up. It seems it's better to refuse in person. As I slowly walked out of the classroom, everyone's gaze focused on me. Among them, of course, was Xiling, who had tried to harm me before. He still didn't understand what shining quality I had that would make the captain come to invite me personally. Just then, the lights in the corridor were suddenly extinguished by a current of electricity. My eyes widened in shock, because this golden electrical current gave me an inexplicable sense of familiarity. At this moment, a current of electricity shot through the crowd in the hallway and rushed towards me at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this, I had no intention of dodging, because I could see it was just a feint. I immediately summoned the Kunwal blade to sense the changes in the surrounding aura. Soon, a golden electrical current attacked rapidly from my left rear. I immediately swung the blade behind my back to block this sneak attack. The movement was so fast that no one present saw it clearly. Just then, a female voice that was all too familiar to me rang out. Your reactions are indeed fast. Looks like I didn't choose the wrong person. I looked towards the voice, my eyes filled with disbelief. I never would have thought that the captain of the ultimate school team was actually Hilu, who went through life and death with me in my past life. The girl was originally the publicly acknowledged strongest awakened one in the entire school. But the young man hugged her without hesitation at their first meeting. This made the girl think I had agreed to join her school team, but I bluntly stated that joining a school club was meaningless and hoped that in the future she could join the guild I would establish. It turns out that not long ago, I discovered that Hilu was actually the school team captain. Memories of her from my past life instantly flooded my mind. This girl, who was always full of energy and cheerful, would always dispel the gloomy atmosphere after every mission. Her carefree personality also often made me blush. Seeing me stunned, Hilu took the initiative to speak, explaining that the ultimate school team had sent me many invitations but never received a response, so she came to visit in person today. After hearing this, Bowl cut and Glasses muttered in low voices. If I really rejected the invitation to her face, it would be very embarrassing for Hilu as the captain. At this moment, Hilu reached out her hand to me and began to introduce herself. But how could I not know who she was? In my past life, I had never accepted her hugs. At this moment, I hugged her without any hesitation. I had so many things I wanted to say to her slowly, but the words that came to my lips ultimately condensed into one phrase. Hilu, long time no see. This sudden hug left Lu stunned. The originally noisy corridor became incredibly quiet. All the students' gazes were focused on me and Lu. Seeing this, Bowl Cut was completely dumbfounded. He never expected me to just hug her in public. He complained, "Is this a real-life older woman-younger man romance that crosses class boundaries?" Class monitor Chi-Een stared, dumbfounded. She had liked me for a long time, but she never thought I would be into older women. Glasses quietly explained to Bowl Cut. Lu was originally in the same grade as us, but because she awakened in her first year of middle school, she skipped grades and entered high school early, so she doesn't really count as an older woman. At this moment, Lee's figure suddenly turned into a bolt of golden lightning. Then her entire person instantly passed through me. "May I ask if your hug means you've accepted my invitation?" After speaking, Lu began to introduce the ultimate school team to me. "It's fully funded by the school. It will give me the best resources. There are many ways to get stronger faster than going to the school's dungeons after class. We have a common goal of getting stronger. Maybe we'll even have a chance to fight side by side." I listened to her introduction very patiently, but I still stated that I would not join the ultimate school team because I won't be staying at the school for long. Joining a school club is meaningless. Having said that, I took the initiative to hold Lee's hand, claiming that I would soon establish my own guild. At that time, there will naturally be a chance to fight alongside her. Just then, a member of the ultimate school team ran over in a hurry. He informed Lu that Captain Hong had returned to school. The principal wanted the entire ultimate school team to go and greet him. Hearing this, he nodded slightly and let go of my hand. "We'll see each other again soon on the training journey. We can have a good chat then about why you said, 'Long time no see.'" After speaking, Lu went with the school team members to greet Captain Hong, and her departure also gave the students a new topic of conversation. They didn't expect me to reject Lee's invitation to her face and even invite her to join my own guild. They thought that as a minor, it would be impossible for me to have the funds to establish a new guild. What was even more exaggerated was that I had just hugged Lu, but Lu didn't show the slightest intention of refusing. The crowd's gossip didn't affect me in the slightest, because I had never thought that I would meet Lu like this. All information about the members of the Divine Guild is strictly confidential. We never asked about each other's pasts, so I never thought that Lu would be in the same middle school as me, which almost caused me to miss this encounter. However, this could be considered an unexpected birthday surprise. The father emptied his family savings to give an extremely expensive magic crystal, only begging the captain to show mercy and let him rejoin the guild. But he didn't know that the other party utterly detested this kind of bribery. He immediately made a harsh declaration that no one was to let this dog join the team. This caused the father, who couldn't control his emotions, to lose all face. He swore to kill everyone who looked down on him, and the first person he would vent his anger on was actually Mom, who had never wronged him in the slightest. It turns out that not long ago, Lu and I unexpectedly rekindled our past connection. After school, I brought Chi-Een and the other two to a barbecue shop for dinner. Glasses and Bowl Cut were seriously discussing how to eat barbecue to make it delicious enough. Chi-Een, on the other hand, asked if I was serious about establishing a guild. She also mentioned I said I wouldn't stay here for long. Could it be that I was planning to leave here for high school? I took a sip of my drink and nodded slightly. I do indeed plan to stay in the Holy Heat Kingdom after the training journey. This answer greatly shocked the three of them. They discussed whether I was planning to drop out of high school to start a business. I explained that I just wanted to study there. Therefore, I must get into the academy that all students dream of, the Divine Arms Academy of the Holy Heat Kingdom. Meanwhile, at the Kaibin Hotel, a tall man got out of sports car. The vice captain of the inspectorate, Liang, hurriedly bowed in greeting. And this person was none other than the captain of the Divine Guild, Hong Bing. Entering the hotel, he saw dignitaries chatting casually everywhere. But one person among them made a trace of doubt flash in Liang's eyes. He never thought that Bai Lingsheng, who was clearly supposed to be locked up for 15 days, would actually appear at the banquet. Liang immediately pulled Chun Jinwu aside and questioned him about why Bai Lingsheng was released early. Chun Jinwu rubbed his fingers and explained. Bai Lingsheng paid double the bail, and everything was approved by the captain. Vice Captain just turned a blind eye. Hearing this, Leon was so angry he gritted his teeth, never expecting there to be such a rotten person by his side. Pointing at Bai Lingsheng, he asked Chen Jinwu why he had brought him to Captain Han's party. Chen Jinwu leaned in and whispered, "You know this too. He was kicked out of the guild for a minor issue before. This is a rare opportunity, and he wants to try and get back in. To rejoin the guild, he brought everything he owns. It's no big deal for us to do him a small favor." Just as he finished speaking, the magic crystals in Bai Lingsheng's arms were thrown heavily onto the ground. At that moment, Hong Bing's expression turned extremely grim. He sternly questioned Bai Lingsheng, asking who let him in. "The Divine Guild has booked this entire place. What if an outside dog gets in and leaks military secrets?" Hearing this, Bai Lingsheng's hands began to tremble uncontrollably. With a nervous tone, he was just about to explain when Hong Bing grabbed him by the collar. "What abilities and what status do you have to dare try and buy position from me? Take this useless junk of yours and get out. From this day on, no one is to let this dog into the guild. Anyone who disobeys will be immediately kicked out of the Divine Guild." These words pierced through Bai Lingsheng's last shred of hope like a sharp sword. Yet, he never felt he was even slightly in the wrong. He believed that heaven was unfair to him, not letting him live a carefree and happy life. Endless rage had already made him unable to distinguish right from wrong. He wanted to kill everyone who dared to look down on him. How dare a mere captain humiliate him like this? The people who had abandoned and insulted him in the past were now his targets for revenge. A moment later, Bai Lingsheng arrived at the residential complex where my mother and I live. Unexpectedly, my mother had just finished grocery shopping and was walking to the entrance of the complex. Unaware of this, I was still eating at a barbecue shop. A group of people who had just entered the shop caught my attention. From the badges they wore, it wasn't hard to tell that this group were members of the Divine Guild. Bullcut recognized them too. He whispered to me that if we got into the Divine Arms Academy, we would be colleagues with these people. After saying that, he let out a long sigh, lamenting that this meal had unexpectedly become a farewell dinner. Chi Yin immediately retorted that it wasn't necessarily a farewell dinner. She would also work hard to get in. Glasses immediately eased the atmosphere. Now let's talk about other things later. Today is Bai Yi's birthday. Let's first wish Bai Yi a happy birthday and a great future. But my mind wasn't on their conversation at all. I suddenly realized that the day had gone too smoothly. I kept feeling a strange sense of unease, but I couldn't figure out what it was that I had missed. At the same time, my mother's hands trembled as she tightly gripped the response jade stone on her chest. Her eyes were filled with fear as she watched the approaching Bai Lingsheng. At this moment, Bai Lingsheng was exuding a terrifying, overwhelming, killing intent. "Woman, you've been living quite comfortably behind my back, haven't you? You've even forgotten where your home is." Hearing this, my mother kept backing away. The deep-rooted fear made her whole body tremble. But how could Bai Lingsheng, who was having a terrible day, just let go? A bully to the weak and a coward to the strong, he would only vent his anger on those who had never wronged him. To ensure my mother wouldn't be ambushed by my abusive father, I had specially woven a flower-type bracelet for her protection. But unexpectedly, my father's combat skills were already masterfully honed. After a few exchanges, he completely killed the Nameless Brothers, just as he was about to deliver a fatal blow to my mother. I arrived just in time to block the deadly strike. I decided to personally put an end to this ruthless brute today. It turned out that not long ago, Bai Lingsheng had happened to run into my mother. He saw the flower-type bracelet on her wrist. He sternly questioned where she got it from. Hearing this, my mother subconsciously covered the bracelet with her hand, her eyes filled with immense panic, terrified that Bai Lingsheng would snatch away the gift her son had given her. But Bai Lingsheng was completely unaware of this. He let out a maniacal laugh, mistakenly thinking that my mother had found a new lover, which was how she could afford such a nice house. The intense sense of failure completely shattered his last bit of self-esteem. He raised his fists, as big as sandbags, and charged towards my mother. But just at that critical moment, the flower-type bracelet suddenly shot out a bright green light. 2 afterimages darted out from within the bracelet one after another. They firmly grabbed Bai Lingxing's incoming heavy punch. The afterimages were the nameless brothers with whom I had signed a contract, sworn to protect my mother's safety to the death. Seeing this, my mother's face was filled with shock. She never thought the bracelet I had given her was actually a life-saving artifact. No wonder I had told her that when I wasn't around, she must always keep it on her wrist. At this moment, Stab Wuming let out a roar and charged forward. A powerful, heavy punch landed on by Lingxiang. Meanwhile, Leaf Wuming acted as support, continuously healing Stab Wuming, while keeping a close watch in case Bai Lingxiang tried to sneak attack my mother. After a few exchanges, Bai Lingxiang was clearly no match for Stab Wuming. He hurriedly retreated several steps to maintain a safe distance. Blood was dripping continuously from his chest, but Bai Lingxiang didn't feel the slightest bit of fear. As a red-quality electric-type warrior, he hadn't fully immersed himself in a battle for a long time. The appearance of Stab Wuming and Leaf Wuming was the perfect outlet for him to vent his rage. At the same time, I was at the barbecue shop, eating and chatting with Chi-Yin and the others. I stare at the response, jade stone in my hand, lost in thought. A sense of unease kept welling up in my heart. So I told them I had something to take care of and would be back soon. I've already paid for the barbecue. Feel free to get whatever you want to eat. After leaving the barbecue shop, I went to an alley to call Hong Qiangxing, asking him if he was sure that Bai Lingxiang had been released from prison early. On the other end of the line, Hong Qiangxing confirmed that Bai Lingxiang was out. He had even gone to his father Hong Bing's party today, but was kicked out not long after. However, after he left the Kaibin Hotel, his whereabouts were unknown. Hearing this, my expression suddenly became grave. A few drops of cold sweat trickled down my cheeks. I hurriedly called my mother, but the video call wouldn't connect. Was her phone not with her? The Kaibin Hotel was near the complex where I rented my apartment. If Bai Lingxiang ran into my mother there at this time, that guy definitely wouldn't let it go. With his personality, it was impossible to imagine what kind of stupid thing he would do. At this thought, I hurriedly rode my bike home. Although this was all just my speculation, my mother's safety was at stake. There was no room for error. Even though I had left the nameless brothers with my mother, their levels were too low and they might not be able to hold out for long. And things were just as I had expected. Bai Lingxiang, fully immersed in the battle, defeated Stab Wuming after a few rounds. Seeing this, Leaf Wuming quickly shielded my mother behind him, glaring fiercely at Bai Lingxiang. But Bai Lingxiang had long since seen that its main ability was healing. He could defeat it very easily. Then, his expression changed. He noticed that the collapsed Stab Wuming was tightly grabbing his leg. Towards beings weaker than himself, Bai Lingxiang always had zero tolerance. He turned and tightly gripped Stab Wuming's neck. Then he stabbed it all over with his bayonet. In Bai Lingxing's eyes, Stab Wuming was now Hong Bing, who had made him lose face. It was a punching bag he could vent all his emotions on. The extremely violent and cruel scene filled my mother's face with terror. Her body couldn't stop trembling. Before long, Bai Lingxiang finished off Stab Wuming. His fierce gaze locked onto my mother. Exuding killing intent, he unhurriedly walked over. Leaf Wuming knew it was no match for him. Fear spread throughout its body. But it had sworn to protect my mother to the death, so it would fight to the very end. It strode forward, hugged by Lingxiang, and activated its entangle skill while shouting for my mother to run and not look back. This shout made my mother's eyes well up with tears, because I had said those same words before. The ultimate goal was always to keep her from harm. My mother held back her grief and turned to flee, knowing that only by saving herself could she live up to the nameless brother's sacrifice. At this moment, Bai Lingxiang was completely entangled by vines into a ball. But unexpectedly, a surge of energy began to expand within the ball. In the blink of an eye, Bai Lingxiang completely broke free from the restraints. He suddenly exerted force and tore off Leaf Wuming's limbs. Then, with a flash, he appeared in front of my mother. "Where can you run? Tell me, where else can you run?" As his voice fell, Bai Lingxiang waved his hand and tore the response jade stone from my mother's neck. He angrily demanded, "Did that bastard give you this jade stone too?" With that, he clenched his fist and crushed the response jade stone to dust. Then, like a ferocious beast, he roared angrily, about to pierce my mother's chest with the bayonet in his hand. Seeing this, my mother stood frozen on the spot, the words I once told her echoing in her mind. "When you're in danger, just crush this jade pendant. The moment it shatters, I will appear by your side." The next second, I appeared in front of my mother. I caught the incoming bayonet with my bare hands. This time, I didn't break my promise. I arrived in time to prevent the tragedy. I will also personally put an end to Bai Lingxing's tyranny. In order to completely eliminate my own father and prevent future trouble, I no longer hid the strength of my 3 awakened classes. I gained the upper hand in our first direct confrontation. Although he had rich combat experience and great strength, his arrogant personality was his most fatal weakness. Therefore, I was absolutely confident that I could completely defeat him. It turned out that I had arrived just in time to save my mother a short while ago. A heart-wrenching memory flooded my mind. It was a tragedy I could never forget in this life. Bound by iron chains, I could only watch helplessly as Bai Lingxing relentlessly beat my mother. They were clearly a married couple who had been through thick and thin, yet there was not a trace of pity in Bai Lingxing's eyes. Again and again, he brought the club down on my mother. Seeing him gather all his strength to swing the club again, I screamed through my tears, begging him to stop hitting my mother. But in the end, I couldn't prevent the tragedy. My mother lay in a pool of blood, no longer breathing. This tragedy happened on the first weekend of my first year of high school. My mother had taken me to an amusement park for the day, but forgot to tell Bai Lingxing. We only came home in the evening. That day, he had failed to find a job. He came back and took all his frustrations out on my mother and me. It was on this day that the demon in his heart was completely unleashed. I broke free from the chains and threw myself beside my mother, wailing. Having witnessed the entire process, I was immensely traumatized. My second advancement quietly began. The originally green quality core type warrior instantly advanced to a platinum quality core type holy swordsman. The death of my closest relative made me completely lose control. I just wanted to destroy everything around me. I undid the chains on my body and moved behind Bai Lingxing at a speed invisible to the naked eye. In just an instant, I killed my father, a red quality electric type assassin. But even so, my mother was gone forever. I hated myself for not being able to protect my mother. I hated myself for not working harder and breaking through sooner. Otherwise, this painful situation wouldn't have happened today. And now, reborn, I will not be even half a step too late. At this thought, I crushed Bai Lingxing's bayonet with my bare hands. I would never allow this damn beast to get another inch closer to my mother. At that moment, my father's eyes were filled with intense killing intent. He roared and swung his bayonet at me, determined to kill both my mother and me today. Seeing this, I calmly summoned the Kunwa blade. The skill Gawu triggered instantly, negating the damage while reflecting all physical damage back to the opponent in full. Bai Lingxing flew backward like a kite with a broken string. He had to dig his hands into the ground to stabilize himself. Taking his own hit head-on made him spit blood. He never expected his useless son to have such a reaction. But what he expected even less was that the Kunwa blade, which he had backstabbed his teammates to obtain back then, was now in my hands. At the same time, the Nameless brothers had already healed thanks to their powerful recovery ability. Unless I die, they could be revived indefinitely. I immediately gave an order for the Nameless brothers to look after my mother and take her to a safe place behind us. They could leave this to me. These words also made Bai Lingxing realize something. The flower-type demon beasts he had been fighting were my summoned creatures. He never thought I was actually a 1-in-a-million dual elementalist. At this thought, Bai Lingxing couldn't help but laugh out loud, awakening 2 classes at such a young age. Very good. You truly are Bai Lingxing's son. Hearing this, my expression didn't change in the slightest, because I had never acknowledged him as my father. He was just a beast who couldn't control his emotions and liked to bully the weak. At this moment, Bai Lingxing walked slowly towards me, claiming that just inheriting his talent wasn't enough. Moving out without a word, going through his safe without his permission, and even sending his own father to prison. Any one of these 3 things he could not forgive. Therefore, no matter what kind of talent I possessed, I had to die by his hands today. Just then, Bai Lingxing vanished on the spot, leaving only a streak of red lightning. My mother, protected by the Nameless brothers, saw this and screamed silently, trying to warn me to be careful. However, I wasn't flustered at all. I immediately switched my class to Cloud-type Mage. In an instant, the entire road in front of me was completely frozen over. Bai Lingxing could no longer continue his surprise attack. He He was completely bewildered, not understanding where this ice came from. Had his son awakened more than just two elements? I watched his confused expression and slowly walked forward. My eyes were filled with contempt. He had failed the great title of father. Perhaps a dual class was the strongest being in his perception. I told him that however many classes I could awaken had nothing to do with him, because now, in my eyes, he was completely worthless. The father who could only use violence to prove his status in the family was now being completely crushed by me, unable to fight back at all. He kowtowed and apologized repeatedly, hoping to get my forgiveness, and promised he would never hurt my mother and me again. But how could I let go of this scumbag who took pleasure in violence? I was determined to sentence him to death with a blade in my hand. It turned out that a short while ago, I had bluntly told Bai Lingsheng he was worthless in my eyes. Hearing this, Bai Lingsheng let out a chilling, sinister laugh, thinking I was just a newly awakened fledgling. How could I compare to him, who had fought on battlefields? Having said that, he unleashed his elemental power and broke free from the ice's restraints. Seeing this, I immediately summoned the Kunlun blade and launched a surprise attack with a backhand strike. Bai Lingsheng hurriedly crossed his arms in front of his chest to block the attack. However, his move was well within my expectations. As I retracted the blade, I assumed the army breaker stance. The blade, like a bee's stinger, thrust straight at Bai Lingsheng's chest. Staring at the blade, piercing his chest, Bai Lingsheng's face turned pale. If he hadn't grabbed the hilt in time, he would have been stabbed through the heart. As he was thinking, I took the opportunity to pull back the blade, causing him secondary damage. Bai Lingsheng clutched his chest and knelt on the ground, unable to understand how a mere E-rank awakened could have such attack power and combat strategy. I didn't answer his question, looking down on this defeated opponent with ice-cold eyes. I told him that from now on, we were no longer father and son. My mother would no longer have anything to do with him either. And from this moment on, Bai Lingsheng, was nothing in my eyes. Hearing this, Bai Lingsheng clutched his chest and let out a cold laugh. His laughter grew louder and louder, until it could be heard throughout the entire residential complex. He raised his head and angrily questioned me. Who was it that worked hard outside to earn money? Who was it that did everything to support this family? From the day you were born, you have been my Bai Lingsheng's son. That's a fact that will never change in this lifetime. With that, Bai Lingsheng leaped up and clawed at my head, wanting to teach his ungrateful, heartless son a lesson. I immediately jumped up and kicked him right in the face. Bai Lingsheng rolled on the ground like a deflated ball. Just as he got up from the ground, I had already flashed in front of him. In his panic, Bai Lingsheng hurriedly threw a punch, but I easily dodged it by turning my head. At the same time, I threw a heavy punch at his face. The powerful blow made his consciousness a little blurry, but I had no intention of stopping there. The grievances my mother and I had suffered over the years were now channeled into every heavy punch that landed on him. He didn't understand. He was a red-quality electric-type assassin, and his level was even C-rank. Why was he being beaten so badly that he couldn't fight back? I took the opportunity to grab his hair tightly and gave him the answer. Didn't you hear what I said? You are no match for me at all. For the past 20 years, you have been violent time and time again, using the only thing you have, violence, to prove your status at home, because you don't dare to face people outside who are stronger than you. You are a weak and incompetent piece of trash. A good-for-nothing. You don't deserve to be a father. You don't deserve to be a real man. With that, I lifted Bai Lingsheng's head with one hand, then gathered all my strength and slammed it heavily onto the ground. This was the first time my mother had seen me consumed by rage. Her eyes were filled with shock and heartache. She felt that I usually gave all my gentleness to her. At this moment, Bai Lingsheng, pinned to the ground, made a weak sound. He said that no matter what, he was the one who raised me. Shouldn't I consider our family ties? The words family ties made me even more furious, because he, Bai Lingsheng, was the last person qualified to talk about family ties. I angrily questioned him. Did you think about family ties when you were hitting my mother and me? When I was 7, he pulled my ear and slammed my head against the wall again and again, just like this. Helpless, my mother could only keep begging him to stop. I also kept begging him not to hit me anymore, that I would never make a mistake again. But even after my ear was torn, he still didn't stop. How many times has Mom suffered his domestic abuse over the years? From the day I was born until now, Mom has been going to the hospital every month. If the food wasn't good, he'd hit her. If things didn't go his way, he'd hit her. He'd even come home unhappy and start being abusive. As long as this scumbag was around, my mother and I never had a single normal day. At this point, I once again ground his head into the pavement. My eyes were filled with hatred. Talking to me about family ties now just disgusts me. A scumbag like him doesn't deserve to have family ties at all. These words were like a sharp blade, piercing by Ling Sheng through and through. He struggled to prop himself up and said I'm sorry to me with a trembling voice. He said he knew he was wrong and wouldn't do it again, hoping I would spare him this complete mess of a father. He kept apologizing to me, but in my eyes, he didn't really know he was wrong. Rather, he knew he was about to die. He was the same way in my past life. When he realized he was no longer my match, he started crying, begging for mercy, and apologizing. But just when I thought he had truly repented, he picked up a knife and charged at me without hesitation. Someone who has raised a butcher's knife against their own family can never just stop. The intense emotional fluctuation caused my adrenaline to surge. My ultimate skill, one-sided pure land, evolved into two-sided judgment at this moment. And I will use this Kunwa blade in my hand to deliver the final judgment upon this brute before me. To completely sever any thought of my abusive father getting close to my mother, I personally severed his tendons without hesitation. But just as I was about to end his life, my mother, who had been mute for years, suddenly spoke and told me to stop. She didn't want to see the future me become an abuser. So I decisively used my ultimate skill, two-sided judgment. I completely stripped him of his awakened power, reducing him to a cripple. It turned out that my ultimate skill had evolved into two-sided judgment a short while ago. I knew that rather than making a sinner truly repent, it was better to ensure he never had the chance to commit a crime again. I immediately channeled my elemental power and swung out countless air blades. They continuously cut through Bai Lingxing's flesh at an extremely fast speed. But I wasn't in a hurry to kill him with one blow. Instead, I severed his tendons so he couldn't resist. Bai Lingsheng collapsed on the ground and urged me to calm down to spare him his father. Hearing the word father made me even more furious. He still had the nerve to talk about family ties in front of me. I immediately switched my class to Cloud-type Mage, conjured ice, and sealed his foul mouth shut. He had already died by my hand in my previous life, so what was the harm in doing it again? But just then, a familiar voice suddenly sounded in my ear, telling me to stop in a very worried tone. I looked around, searching for the source of the voice, because it was a woman's voice. When I shifted my gaze toward my mother, I realized it was Leaf Wuming using its ability to transmit my mother's voice to me. My mother's eyes were filled with worry. She didn't want me to become a person like Bai Lingsheng. Bai Lingsheng had already lost everything he was proud of. Every day from now on, he would live in regret and resentment. That was the greatest punishment for him. Hearing this, my anger gradually subsided. But Bai Lingsheng was still an unstable factor. I didn't want my mother to bear even the slightest risk. My mother naturally understood that everything I was doing now was for her sake, but she didn't want to see her lively and cheerful son become the next Bai Lingsheng. Even more, she didn't want to see the future me living only in darkness. In my previous life, after killing Bai Lingsheng, I was sent to prison. Looking at the bright sunlight outside the iron bars, I was filled with emotion. Although I didn't regret my decision, a voice in my heart told me it was the wrong answer. And now, I finally knew what the right answer was. I promised my mother I wouldn't kill Bai Lingsheng, but he would never have the chance to get close to us again. I immediately channeled my elemental power, enchanting the surface of my blade. I swung my ultimate skill, two-sided judgment, used on an enemy in a near-death state. It releases all accumulated power and can completely cripple an enemy of the same or lower level. In an instant, a cross-shaped strike slammed into Bai Lingsheng. Wisps of red energy could be seen dissipating from his body. With that, I crippled Bai Lingsheng's awakened power. From now on, he was no longer a professional. I told him to leave this city tomorrow, to leave my mother forever. Before this, I'd already made Leaf Wuming memorize his scent. If he came within 3 kilometers of my mother, even if I had to spend the rest of my life in an Awaken's prison, I would immediately come and kill him without mercy. Hearing this, Bai Lingxing stared blankly at the night sky and promised not to disturb my mother and me ever again. Afterward, my mother and I returned home. Stab Wuming acted as a housekeeper and began to clean meticulously, while I had Leaf Wuming heal my mother's injuries. Stab Wuming, who was cleaning, immediately winked at me, indicating that Bai Lingsheng hadn't hurt our mom at all. I breathed a huge sigh of relief and squatted down beside my mother. Luckily, I arrived in time, otherwise the consequences would have been unimaginable. My mother smiled and told me she was fine and that no one would disturb our lives anymore. But I was still a little worried. I'd have to find a way to get another jade stone later. As I was thinking, a shocked expression suddenly appeared on my face. A strange expression also appeared on my mother's face. My mother, who had been mute for years, had just spoken. This time it wasn't telepathy, but a real voice coming from her mouth. It turned out this was all Leaf Wuming's doing. It discovered that my mother's speech system was malfunctioning, which was actually due to minor nerve damage from a past injury, so it healed her. For the next few days, I continued to work hard to improve myself. Leaf Wuming asked me if I really couldn't stay here. Leaving meant saying goodbye to my mother and friends. I smiled faintly and nodded. I had already paid the rent for the house in advance. Once I save enough money, I will buy that house. I also prepared a new jade pendant for my mother. Even if she encounters a crisis again, I will rush over at the first moment. But for most of the other time, I would have to rely on the nameless brothers to take good care of her. Although my mother knew I was going on a training journey, what she didn't know was that I was no longer the me she remembered. I carried a hatred that I had to face. Now I have the ticket to the Holy He Kingdom. That guy is there. This is my best chance for revenge. I can reach the Holy He Kingdom earlier than in my previous life, but I don't know if I will succeed or if I can come back alive. Perhaps this is just a one-way ticket with no return, but I must get on this train. Just then, my mother suddenly showed a shocked expression. I hurriedly asked her what was wrong. My mother explained to me that it was time for prayers. On the first full moon of the 15th day of every summer vacation, the high priest of the Flower God Temple would return to Chusher County. After hearing this, I finally remembered. My mother was a devout follower of the Flower God sect. She never asked, and I never told her that tomorrow was the day of my departure. But this is fine too. I'll just leave quietly, because the thing I'm worst at is saying goodbye in person. In order to completely nip the traitor in the bud, I embarked on a training journey to find his whereabouts. I thought I would be walking a lonely path of revenge, but I never expected my mother and friends to come specially to see me off. They wished me a safe and smooth journey, unafraid of any storms. At this moment, I understood that my life wasn't just about revenge. I will do my best to resolve everything and return as soon as possible to reunite with the people who are important to me. It turned out that not long ago, I had decided to leave for the Holy He Kingdom without saying goodbye. At the same time, Glasses had successfully undergone minimally invasive surgery. The doctor remarked that it was fortunate the problem was discovered in time, preventing the condition from worsening. Glass's parents held the doctor's hand and thanked him repeatedly for saving their son's life. But Glasses himself was looking worried, because his parents had forced him to have this minor surgery today. And tomorrow, Chi-Yin and I would be leaving for the Holy He Kingdom. In his condition, there was no way he could come to see us off. He didn't know if there would be a chance to meet again in the future. In the blink of an eye, it was the next day. The students invited on the training journey gathered at the platform for the Holy He special train. At the time of parting, Chi-Yin's mother was already in tears, telling Chi-Yin to remember to call her often and to tell her father to stay up less. After giving all her instructions, she didn't forget to kiss Chi-Yin's cheek. The teacher was stunned by this cheesy scene and told the parents they could go home now. This training journey is just a tour. They'll be back in half a month. Don't act like it's a life or death parting. Immediately, the parents said their goodbyes to their children and left the platform. This was the first time these teenagers were leaving their parents' protection to go out and experience a different world. I had also arrived at the platform early to wait. Teacher Huang came over and asked me why I came alone. Didn't your mom and dad come to see you off? I didn't answer the question. With a calm expression, I muttered to myself, the train should be here soon. This surprised teacher Huang and Chi-Yin. They didn't expect that I was so used to being independent. Hearing this, my thoughts drifted. I had indeed gotten used to being independent a long time ago. I had also long been used to living alone. Memories of my past life inadvertently flooded my mind again. Actually, I wasn't born to be a loner. The first time I experienced a life-and-death parting, I held my mother's cold body and cried my eyes out. But the bad news didn't stop there. My best friend, Glasses, had late-stage lung cancer. He passed away before they could even finish his surgery. It seemed like a punishment from heaven. My master, who raised me like his own son, also passed away not long after I became an adult. When I became the world's strongest warrior, I was backstabbed and watched my teammates die. Loved ones, they left me one by one. My entire life has been a series of partings. Unconsciously, I've gotten used to it, calmly accepting the loss of everything. At this moment, Teacher Huang reminded everyone to get ready to board the train. My scattered thoughts were pulled back. I still haven't gotten used to the feeling of having things again. Once I stepped onto the train, I didn't know if I would ever be able to come back and see them again. Just then, someone behind me suddenly shouted my name. With a mix of apprehension and anticipation, I turned my head to look. I never expected it to be Glasses, Bowlcut, and Mom. Bowlcut complained to me that Glass's parents were watching him very strictly. If it weren't for this guy making a life-or-death fuss, insisting that I sneak him out, he would have been at the station this morning. Hearing this, I looked at Glasses and told him he should be resting properly in the hospital. Glasses patted his chest and assured me he was fine now. Then he looked at me with a pained expression, reminding me to take good care of myself after I get there. At that moment, Bowlcut handed me a pile of things. Because time was tight, he didn't have a chance to pick out a gift, so he just chose some clothes for me and got some food. Chi-Yin watched this heartwarming scene with a gentle smile. She could see that I didn't actually like being alone. I just didn't know how to express these feelings. Mom had also prepared a gift for me. This bracelet was something she had specially gone to the flower god temple to pray for. She said it was very effective and hoped something could protect me, just like the flower-themed wristband I gave her. Holding the bracelet, my heart was filled with emotion. So the reason Mom went to the flower god temple was to pray for my well-being. Could she have known that I was planning to be away for a long time? As I pondered, Teacher Huang urged everyone to hurry up and board. The train was about to depart. Seen off by my mom and friends, I walked onto the train. Looking back on the month since my return, I had already changed a lot. My closest friends and family, their lives have already changed. Now, in the hometown I deeply love, there are people silently waiting for my return. I secretly vowed to resolve everything as quickly as possible and return to reunite with them soon. Then, the train pulled out of the station, heading for its destination, the Holy He Kingdom. A man atop a tall building spoke to himself with confidence. He has also boarded safely. It won't be long before he reaches the Holy He Kingdom. The item was successfully transferred to his hand. Is there anything else to instruct? And this person was none other than the sect master of the Flower God Temple, Lu Zhongjiang, a gold-quality S-rank synthesist. Upon his return, he received a mission to successfully deliver that bracelet into my hands. At this moment, I was looking at a map, listening to Teacher Huang's introduction. The ultimate school team and the captain's train was one service ahead of ours. They went ahead to handle the sea crossing procedures. Soon, the train would arrive at the border of the Jiang Kingdom. On the other side is the Holy He Kingdom. This training journey has now officially begun. It takes a day to enter the Holy He Kingdom. According to tradition, we will first stay at the border tonight for a field training exercise, and Xiling, who is on the same train as me, will take revenge on me during this border training. A novice warrior participates in field combat training for the first time, but his handsome face makes the senior female students adore him. Everyone thinks I'm just a pretty face with no substance, unaware that a D-rank demonic beast that the high school division couldn't handle, that I can kill with a single strike. It turns out that not long ago, I learned that there would be field training today. Teacher Huang told us that God created this world and that God has always protected us. The families founded by the gods possess supreme power. The Holy He Kingdom is currently home to 2 gods and their families. She urged us that after entering the country, we must strictly abide by the laws of the gods and absolutely not cause trouble. For us to enter the Holy He Kingdom from the Jiang Kingdom, we need to pass through 3 checkpoints. The first checkpoint is to pass the school's mock test and obtain the Holy He Kingdom invitation pass, which qualifies us to board this train. The second checkpoint is at the Jiang Kingdom border. Everyone needs to register their information and undergo a comprehensive security check. The information check for everyone usually takes a day, so we can only enter the country the next day. Therefore, the next 24 hours will be the first stop of this training journey, combat training. After completing the information check, everyone came to the desolate coastal border area of the Jiang Kingdom to begin training. I also changed into the new clothes bowl cut had prepared. I looked much more mature. My appearance instantly caught the attention of two senior female students. They recognized me as the little boy who rejected the ultimate school team's invitation. They immediately came over to get friendly with me. They knew my name was by E and that I had achieved the highest score in history on the third-year middle school combat assessment. They hoped I would team up with them for the combat training later. Seeing this, I immediately waved my hand to decline. Women will only slow down my progress in getting stronger. Unexpectedly, my refusal actually made them find me cute. After observing the surroundings, I concluded that the demonic beasts in the desolate area were all too low level. They weren't very useful for raising my class level. Moreover, after reaching C rank, leveling up becomes increasingly difficult. I must find a way to locate higher level demonic beasts. At this moment, a senior male student, Zhang Jun, found the two senior female students who had just spoken to me. He boasted that he had also placed first back in his day. Dealing with sealed demonic beasts in school assessments is nothing special. Real-life demonic beasts are completely different. After speaking, he pretended to casually catch one of the senior students, stating that true ability can only be seen in field combat. The two senior female students knew of this campus heartthrob. He was a red quality C-rank star-type warrior. They invited him to team up for the combat training. Zhang Jun agreed immediately without a second thought. His triumphant laughter echoed in everyone's ears, as if showing off his conquest. A moment later, Teacher Huang gathered everyone and began her briefing. Those who are able to participate in this training journey are all the school's most elite students. Although it has been emphasized many times on the train, I must reiterate it once more. During combat training, you must remember to train within the designated area. Absolutely do not go too far. Try to avoid acting alone. When encountering monsters, act within your capabilities. You must gather at the campsite by 8 p.m. Before she could finish the rules, Zhang Jun had already pulled the two senior female students away from the group. He didn't want to waste a single second of this rare monster hunting opportunity. In the crowd, Xilin's expression turned very grim upon seeing this. He couldn't stand anyone showing off in front of him. Therefore, he wouldn't mind teaching a lesson to one more arrogant fool during this combat training. Meanwhile, within the borders of the Holy He Kingdom, Hong Bing and the Ultimate School team arrived at the Divine Guild headquarters. The guards immediately saluted him respectfully, stating that the hunting tournament was about to begin. The captain of the Divine Security team was already waiting in the conference room. The vice captain of the Ultimate School team witnessed this and sighed softly. Having privileges really makes a difference. We came on the same train as the captain, and we didn't even have to go through any checkpoints the whole way. At this moment, Hong Bing glanced at Hong Qiangxing beside him and told him to go directly to the team and wait for him. The usually domineering Hong Qiangxing was now as docile as a kitten. He never dared to refuse his father's commands. On the other side, the combat training had officially begun. Relying on the advantage of his class quality and level, Zhang Jun made short work of all E-rank demonic beasts, none lasting more than 2.5 seconds against him. Because of this, he earned the praise and screams of the two senior female students. As for me, I wasn't in a hurry to kill demonic beasts for experience. I stared at my own data panel, lost in thought. Up until now, my 3 classes had all reached C rank, but I've been stuck here for dozens of days. To gain experience, I must defeat demonic beasts of a level equal to or greater than my own. But the highest level demonic beasts I can encounter in the Jiang Kingdom are only D rank. The demonic beasts scattered in the desolate wilderness are all low-level monsters that even the guilds can't be bothered with. Killing demonic beasts below my own level yields almost no benefit. As I was thinking, a D-rank level 11 8-foot spider suddenly appeared. Its sharp claws instantly slashed Zhang Jun's palm. Seeing their powerhouse fall, the two senior female students' faces were filled with panic, believing a demonic beast of this level was not something they could handle. Seeing they weren't concerned about him, Zhang Jun became annoyed. He roared for the two of them to help him with the poison first. This 8-foot spider was, after all, a wild, unsealed, complete D-rank entity. It was naturally impossible to kill it easily. And just then, the 8-foot spider suddenly changed direction and pounced towards me. A young man explores the depths of the desolate jungle alone, originally intending to collect some useful materials to break through his level. But he never expected the camp to be brutally attacked by a demonic beast. And this extremely dangerous demonic beast was even B rank. It turned out that not long ago, the 8-foot spider had suddenly lunged to kill me. Seeing this, I easily one-shot it with a backhand strike, causing it to drop the material item, poison spider leg. But this kind of low-level material only takes up backpack space and is useless to me. And all the high-level demonic beasts are controlled by the Divine Guild. That's why everyone says the distance from C to B is the difference between heaven and earth. Fortunately, however, I still remembered that in the desolate area on the border of the Holy Heat Kingdom, some high-grade magic crystals were later excavated. I'll go deeper and see if I can collect any useful materials. The time was 7:58 p.m. I had already been searching inside the desolate jungle for a long time. I actually found quite a few magic crystals. But strangely, magic crystals should contain a large amount of energy and usually form in places with many demons and demonic beasts. But the magic power in these crystals was depleted, and it seems to have been absorbed not long ago. And that wasn't the only suspicious thing. These trees before me were also strange, as if their nutrients had been sucked dry. There must be some demonic beast wandering nearby that can rapidly absorb the surrounding energy. But the highest level demonic beast in the desolate area is only D rank. Could it really be capable of doing this? A moment later, I reached the deepest part of the jungle. A waterfall ahead blocked the path. I could still see many scattered magic crystals along the way. I lowered my head and looked around, trying to find any subtle clues. 2.5 minutes later, I discovered a broken glass bottle not far away. I didn't know what the scattered green liquid was, but when I saw the words Zifeng Industries written on it, I had a sudden feeling that something bad was bound to happen tonight. Meanwhile, at the campsite, Teacher Huang had already set up a bonfire and was grilling barbecue. The students were dumbfounded at the sight. They hadn't expected the teacher to have taken down so many deranged demonic beasts by herself. Teacher Huang casually handed a cooked meat skewer to a student, telling everyone that combat training is a wilderness simulation. Finding food is also a crucial part of wilderness survival. Today, the vast majority of students were focused on killing demonic beasts, and not many had considered this. Looking at the offered barbecue, the students were a bit speechless. They didn't expect this training journey to be so stingy that it didn't even provide meals. During dinner time, Teacher Huang looked left and right, constantly monitoring the students' condition. She noticed that Xiling and I had not yet returned to the camp. She decided to save some barbecue for when we got back. Shi-In couldn't help but exclaim. She had always thought Teacher Huang only taught theory, but she never expected her to be so proficient in actual combat. Teacher Huang explained with a faint smile that she couldn't be considered proficient. Before she became a teacher, her dream was to enter the Divine Guild or even become a holy cleric. As she said this, a hint of sadness appeared on Teacher Huang's face. Unfortunately, her abilities were insufficient, and she didn't even get a chance to take the exam. Then she leaned close to Qi-Yin's ear and whispered, "I'll tell you a secret. This is actually my first time going to the Holy Heat Kingdom. I really have to thank you all. Thanks to you and Bai Yi, I have this opportunity to see the Holy Land I've always dreamed of." Hearing this, Qi-In was just about to speak, completely unaware of the danger hidden in the night. But Teacher Huang sensed that something was wrong. She hurriedly pulled Qi-In behind her, and the attacking spike instantly pierced her chest. The originally silent night was shattered at this moment. This sudden event threw all the students into a panic. Meanwhile, I was rushing back to the camp at full speed. I never expected to encounter this kind of demonic beast here. I must quickly go and tell everyone to leave this place. The danger of that demonic beast is already beyond our control. At this moment, Teacher Huang endured the pain and pulled the spike from her chest, telling the students to hurry and find the nearest guild. She would hold it off here. The demonic beast hidden in the darkness suddenly appeared. It was a mantis spider with a rank as high as B rank. For the first time, I reveal my identity as a multi-class user in front of everyone. When a mantis spider broke through the camp and was about to turn everyone into nutrients, I switched to the cloud-type mage class without hesitation. With a newly comprehended skill, I successfully repelled it. And the perpetrator of this terrorist attack was actually the senior student who had wanted to kill me before. It turned out that the camp had been brutally attacked by the mantis spider not long ago. The time rewinds to after the field combat training began this morning. Xiling had snuck into the desolate area alone. The glass bottle in his hand was identical to the one I had found in the depths of the jungle. He was the one who brought the B-rank mantis spider, all to get revenge on me for stealing his spotlight before. He released the mantis spider into the wild, allowing this extremely dangerous demonic beast to grow by frantically absorbing nutrients. And his plan was to wait until the mantis spider had battered everyone, then make a grand entrance himself, letting everyone know who the real savior was. But unexpectedly, the plan developed into an uncontrollable situation. This cowardly waste was too afraid of death to even show his face. He couldn't understand why, after less than a day, the mantis spider's growth rate had far exceeded his expectations. If he rashly went forward and angered this demonic beast, he would surely die. At this moment, the mantis spider revealed a ferocious expression and stared deadly at the crowd. Although Teacher Huang was only a C-rank cloud-type mage, she still stood resolutely at the front. Even though she knew she was no match for the demonic beast, she had to create an escape opportunity for the students as best she could. Meanwhile, I was speeding up, sprinting towards the camp. In my past life, I had encountered an S-rank mantis spider. Even as my advanced self back then, it took a great deal of effort to defeat it. This creature is a master of both offense and defense, and is also skilled at hiding. It's an all-rounder in terms of individual combat power. The highest rank among the students and teachers here is only C. They have absolutely no chance of winning against a B-rank one. Right now, I definitely can't defeat it without using my full power. But if I do, it means everyone will know the fact that I have multiple classes. This might attract even more attention from the gods. In just a few short minutes, the mantis spider had completely overrun the camp. In a single instant, it had injured all the C-rank awakeners, leaving them on the ground. Teacher Huang collapsed to the ground, completely weak, her face full of unwillingness and resentment. She hadn't expected the mantis spider's attack to have a paralyzing effect. Now, they didn't even have the strength to run, reduced to lambs awaiting slaughter. Watching the mantis spider continuously approach the injured and fallen students, Teacher Huang forced herself to remain calm and search for a way out of the situation. But these few short seconds couldn't change the situation at all. The released mantis spider only wanted to feast right now, continuously absorbing nutrients to strengthen itself. And the first target it chose was the class monitor, Qi-yin. Danger approached Qi-yin step by step, but the equally paralyzed Qi-yin was completely powerless to fight back. It seemed only death awaited her. In the nick of time, several ice cones suddenly smashed into the mantis spider's face. Teacher Huang exhausted her last bit of strength, summoning elemental power to condense ice and launch an attack. She would absolutely not allow this monster to touch her student. But this weak attack had no effect at all. Instead, it completely enraged the mantis spider. It changed its target and decided to deal with her first. A carnivorous flower suddenly extended from the top of the mantis spider's head, opening its massive maw to reveal ferocious and sharp fangs. Without the slightest hesitation, it lunged to kill Teacher Huang. Just then, a slash accurately intercepted the fatal blow. I finally arrived at the camp and flashed in front of Teacher Huang. I immediately activated the block skill to withstand the incoming blade, and I seized the opening to slice off the carnivorous flower on the mantis spider's head. Seeing this, a trace of shock flashed into mantis spider's eyes. The intelligent creature had not expected. Thought that this boy before me could exchange several blows with it and not be at a disadvantage at all. As it pondered, the mantis spider roared angrily and launched a new round of attacks. I knew that a C-rank warrior's attack power was still a bit lacking to deal with it. So, I immediately switched to the cloud-type mage class. I could only control it first and then figure out a way to kill it. In an instant, I held my staff and unleashed a majestic wave of elemental power. My new skill, Frost Nova, shot out immediately, instantly freezing a large amount of water vapor, creating a massive amount of ice out of thin air to freeze everything in sight. In almost the blink of an eye, the mantis spider was frozen into an ice sculpture. The demonic beast that had left everyone helpless and without hope had stopped moving. The noisy night became quiet once again. The two senior female students who had invited me to team up were stunned. They never thought I could actually freeze a B-rank monster. But they clearly remembered that I was a core-type warrior. The campus heartthrob Zhang Jun looked at me with a face full of shock, stammering uneasily. "Are you a dual-class user?" I didn't respond to this. Even if I was exposed, there was nothing to be done. I couldn't just stand by and watch them die here, especially Teacher Huang, who had helped me so much. At this moment, Teacher Huang got up and walked behind me. She didn't care whether I was a dual-class user or not. What she cared about was whether I had been injured just now. The solid ice freezing the mantis spider began to crack. Its eyes, filled with intense hatred, stared deadly at me. It let out a low whisper, telling me to just wait. The next second, the mantis spider completely broke free from its restraints and disappeared from everyone's sight. The panicked students looked around, asking me if the demonic beast would appear again. I calmly stated that it wasn't over. I just injured it. It would probably hide for a while to heal. It might appear again. My current strength is not enough to kill it. The most urgent matter is for everyone to evacuate right now. But Teacher Huang suddenly said she had to stay behind because Xiling hadn't returned yet. Hearing this, my expression became a little strange. It seemed that no one knew who the culprit was yet. And Teacher Huang's reason for waiting for Xiling was very simple. As a teacher, however many students she brought out, she had to bring that many back. We agreed that everyone would gather at the camp at 8 o'clock. If he comes back and doesn't see anyone, he'll probably think everyone abandoned him. Hearing this, I took out the broken glass bottle and told everyone that he was the one who released the mantis spider. The young man who had disregarded his own safety to save all his classmates and teacher now unhesitatingly draws his blade and severs his classmate's arm. It's because after this guy's crimes were completely exposed, he actually planned to secretly poison everyone to eliminate all future trouble. His actions, in my eyes, were exactly the same as the dreadlocks guy who backstabbed the team in my previous life. And in my eyes, traitors are an unforgivable existence. It turned out that not long ago, I had revealed that the mantis spider was Xiling's doing. The 4 words, Zifeng Industries, were marked on the glass bottle. It was an industry of the headmaster, Zi Qingyun's family. Qi Yin had a sudden realization. She remembered her father once telling her that Zifeng Industries was currently managed by Xiling's father. I continued to explain to everyone. Zifeng Industries' laboratory specializes in researching demonic beasts, and this glass bottle has a specific name. It's called a shrinking bottle. This special bottle is used to store a large number of shrunken demonic beasts. I found fragments of this shrinking bottle deep in the jungle. Other than people from the Zifeng Industries family, no one would have the opportunity to touch this thing. At this moment, Xiling was hiding in the shadows, secretly observing. He silently listened as I exposed his crimes. Unreconciled, he slammed his fist against a nearby tree. He cursed himself for not throwing the bottle into the river back then. But in the end, he blamed everything on me. If I hadn't performed so outstandingly, how could he possibly have brought the demonic beast here? Every time, it was me who ruined his plans and stole the show in front of him. Otherwise, how could he have had such an extreme idea? And at this moment, his classmates were condemning his actions. Someone like him should spend his whole life in prison. After hearing these words, Xiling was already furious. Today, I'll make sure all of you stay here. At this moment, Teacher Huang interrupted everyone's discussion. The most urgent thing now is to leave as soon as possible. She told Qi-Yin to take this radio distress device, find a place with a signal, and call for rescue. Qi-Yin took the radio with a hesitant expression. Just as she was about to persuade Teacher Huang to leave with everyone, a light arrow suddenly shot over, directly blowing up the radio in her hand. This sudden development made my nerves tense up again. Teacher Huang hurried over to check on Qi-Yin's condition, unsure if this attack was from the mantis spider that had just fled. I looked at the completely destroyed radio on the ground, and at Qi-Yin's trembling, bleeding hand. Anger instantly spread throughout my body. I couldn't believe that even now, that guy still showed no remorse. He actually intended to attack everyone. At this moment, a smoke bomb silently landed in the middle of the crowd. The pungent smoke made the students cough nonstop. They discovered the smoke actually smelled of paralysis powder, and Xiling, having already put on a gas mask, was walking towards the crowd. I looked down at the smoke bomb on the ground. As expected, it also had the Zfing Industries logo. A bad memory suddenly flooded my mind. Back then, the dreadlocks guy was in charge of our squad's 3 daily meals. The small wontons he made were loved by everyone. Even I, who normally strictly manage my weight, couldn't help but have an extra bowl or two. This often led the dreadlocks guy to tease me about controlling my portions, saying that if I got fat, he would look down on me. Just when I thought it was finally my turn for a happy life. That I never imagined it was all the dreadlocks guy's scheme. For the past month, he had been mixing paralysis powder into our breakfast, all to ensure he could successfully kill everyone. And now, Xiling's actions in my eyes, that were identical to the dreadlocks guy who backstabbed his teammates. At this point, Xiling had gone completely insane, pinning all the blame on me. It's my fault that everyone found out he did it. It's my fault that no one can leave this place. Hearing these words, elemental power erupted from my body. I took a few steps forward and questioned this crazed bastard. Do you really intend to kill everyone? As the paralyzing smoke continued to spread through the forest, most of the students couldn't even stand properly. Even now, they couldn't understand. It was a B-rank item meant to be used against demonic beasts. Why would a madman like Xiling use it on his classmates, with whom he had no grudge? These words were like sharp spikes, stabbing into Xiling's heart. He explained angrily, these were all originally meant to be used against that mantis spider. I was supposed to be the one who ran out and saved everyone. If you want to blame someone, blame this damn Bai. It's all because of him that you have to stay here and die with me. If he hadn't ruined everything, how could I have been pushed to this point? After speaking, Xiling took out his bow and aimed it at my head, but I didn't show the slightest fear, slowly walking towards him. At this moment, Teacher Huang walked up behind me, gently trying to persuade Xiling that it wasn't too late to stop now, not to keep making mistakes. Hearing this, Xiling's vengeful resolve wavered slightly. Seeing this, Teacher Huang continued to persuade him. You released a monster by accident, right? You didn't intentionally put everyone in danger, right? It's still not too late to turn back now. Hearing this, Xiling immediately aimed his longbow at Teacher Huang, his tone flustered and panicked, saying, "It's too late. Nothing can be undone now. Don't even think about tricking me into going back to face judgment." During the conversation, Teacher Huang realized she couldn't move at all. She hadn't expected the B-rank paralysis powder to be so potent. At this rate, she would pass out too. Just then, I stabbed the blade into my own thigh with a backhand motion to stay conscious. This drastic action greatly shocked Teacher Huang. Xiling's actions, in my view, were long past the point of no return. No matter what grievances he felt he had suffered, no matter what kind of bizarre, messed up reasons he had, you should never point your weapon at your own people. As my voice fell, Xiling plucked the bowstring and shot an arrow of light. My adrenaline surged at that moment. I immediately swung my blade, cutting down the incoming arrow. The flash step skill activated instantly, bringing me in front of Xiling. Without the slightest hesitation, I swung my blade again. Xiling's left hand, which was gripping the bowstring, was instantly severed. The intense pain made him let out a wail. But I wouldn't stop there, because traitors are absolutely unforgivable. To prevent the senior student from harming him in the future, the young man unhesitatingly used a killing move to cripple his awakening ability. But just as I was about to kill him to eliminate all future trouble, the demonic beast I had injured earlier suddenly attacked. But having been in a paralyzed state for a long time, I was in no condition to fight, just as everyone's lives hung by a thread. That my teammate from my past life arrived on the battlefield in the nick of time. With just one slash, she heavily wounded the demonic beast. It turned out that not long ago, I had personally severed Xiling's arm. Then, with another slash, I cut open his chest. The piercing pain made Xiling collapse to the ground, with no strength to resist or flee. He cursed me, calling me an out-and-out madman. It's you who put everyone in danger. If your performance earlier hadn't been so dazzling, how could I have had such a desperate idea? Listening to this crazed logic, I calmly retorted, "So you've been hiding here this whole time, right? Watching the disaster unfold with your own eyes. Watching the disaster you created yourself spiral out of control and become impossible to clean up." Hearing this, Xiling fell into deep thought, recalling his own actions. He had indeed been hiding in the shadows, too afraid to show himself, allowing the mantis spider to wreak havoc in the camp. Even when he saw everyone gradually losing ground and becoming nutrients, he never once thought of stepping in to rescue them. At this thought, tears fell from Xiling's moist eyes. The reason he had been hiding was because he was afraid. Afraid he couldn't defeat the mantis spider. He hoped I could understand his weakness. As soon as he finished speaking, I swung my blade at him again without hesitation. Xiling, his eyes wide with disbelief, covered his bleeding mouth. He couldn't believe I would be so ruthless. At this moment, a terrifying thought echoed in his mind. Xiling tried to force his body to move. He had to escape from here as quickly as possible, because he realized I truly intended to kill him. I pointed my blade at him. Since you made your decision, you should bear the consequences. With that, I raised the Kunmul blade in my hand. The killing move, Second Judgment, was instantly released, unleashing all my accumulated power. Countless slashes struck with precision, hitting every part of Xiling's body. A heart-wrenching scream echoed through the jungle. There wasn't a trace of sympathy on my face, because this is the fate a traitor deserves. I raised my blade again, an utterly terrifying wave of elemental power erupting from my body. The next attack would surely be the finishing blow, and Xiling, having lost his awakening ability, was now a lamb for the slaughter. It was impossible for him to escape from me. His mutilated mouth struggled to let out a faint cry for help. But who would save this damned traitor? Just as I was about to swing my blade to send him on his final journey, I suddenly heard the teacher's loud shout of Qi Yin's name. Turning my head, I saw that the mantis spider that had been repelled earlier had stealthily returned. The carnivorous flower on its head was devouring Qi Yin. I immediately sensed that things were bad. I hadn't expected this creature to move again. I had no choice but to spare Xiling for now and go deal with the biggest threat, the mantis spider. But under the effects of the paralysis powder, my mobility was greatly reduced. Perhaps even if I used all my strength now, I couldn't defeat it. But at this point, there was no other way. I was the only one left with a chance to save everyone. In the nick of time, a golden electric current suddenly appeared in the jungle. I looked over, my eyes instantly filling with disbelief, because the mantis spider's carnivorous flower was completely destroyed by the electric current. Qi Yin, whose life was hanging by a thread, escaped the fate of being devoured. And on the mantis spider's body, a clearly visible thunderous slash had appeared, and the reinforcements who had come to help were all too familiar. It was the captain of the ultimate school team, Hilu, a gold-quality lightning-type assassin. A faint smile played on her lips as she turned to look at me. This monster is a bit tough to handle alone, isn't it? Can you still fight? Hearing this, I stood stunned on the spot. I never, ever expected to meet Hilu again at this moment. But with her support, the already injured mantis spider before me was no longer unbeatable. But just then, the mantis spider's figure suddenly vanished on the spot. I immediately explained to Hilu, this thing has the ability to change color. After I injured it before, it turned invisible and hid. Hearing this, Hila didn't answer. Instead, she noticed the wound on my leg. I had stabbed my thigh with a blade to stay conscious and avoid being paralyzed. I mistakenly thought Hilu was worried about the others, so I explained that it was because the effects of the paralysis powder had set in. They would all be unconscious for a while, but would be fine. At that moment, Hila tossed me a bottle of recovery potion. She marveled that I had been able to hold on for so long. Use this bottle of purification water to heal first. People from the Divine Guild are on their way, but we don't know when they'll arrive. As she spoke, I had already drunk the purification water and explained that the mantis spider was absorbing nutrients from its surroundings. As my voice fell, a sharp blade attacked me from behind at an extremely fast speed. But having recovered my strength, I could now react quickly. With a backhand slash, I parried to neutralize the attack. At the same time, Hilu had already circled around behind the mantis spider. Under the combined assault from me and Hilu, the mantis spider was outnumbered. It was clearly at a disadvantage in the first exchange. Hilu steadied herself, clicking her tongue in amazement. She didn't expect the mantis spider to recover so quickly. She asked if I could still fight. I gave a faint smile and a slight nod, signaling for a perfect team collaboration. To kill the infinitely evolving mantis spider, I disregarded my own safety and launched a fierce charge at it, only to be pierced through the chest by the mantis spider's sharp blade. However, this was all part of my plan. The ultimate goal was to lure it into letting its guard down, allowing my teammate to take the opportunity to completely break through its defense. It turned out that a short while ago, Gila had arrived just in time to resolve the crisis. Relying on my knowledge of her and her fighting style from my past life, her storm-like attacks beat the mantis spider to the point where it couldn't fight back at all. I had to praise Hila for her excellent offense and reactions, but she was still a student, after all. I reminded her to prioritize her safety. Hila smiled sweetly, remarking that I sounded as if I wasn't a student myself. While we were talking, the mantis spider steadied itself again. Its ferocious eyes locked onto me, and Hila, determined to tear us to pieces and devour us completely. Seeing this, I immediately drew my blade and activated my flash step skill to charge over. Meanwhile, Hila once again circled behind it to launch a surprise attack. But the feedback from my slash made me frown. In that instant, the mantis spider raised its other claw and struck at me. I instinctively twisted my body to dodge. Unexpectedly, the mantis spider backhanded me, knocking me back. Seeing this from the right, Hilo instantly launched a surprise attack. Her blade, condensed with berserk electrical elements, swung down fiercely. But Hili's expression also became slightly puzzled. She was surprised to find that her attack had been completely neutralized and blocked by the mantis spider. I hurriedly shouted for her to be careful, but it was too late. The mantis spider's barbed claw slashed across Hili's chest. The immense impact sent Hili flying back several dozen meters. Although it didn't cause serious damage, the mantis spider's attacks were poisonous. And just then, I activated my flash step skill, appeared in front of her, and blocked the mantis spider's claw with a reverse grip blade. At the same time, I realized the mantis spider's defense had already reached the level of a top-tier B-rank warrior. Even Hili's incredibly high burst damage couldn't hurt it. And what was worse, the mantis spider was continuously absorbing nutrients from this place. This meant it was still getting stronger, evolving in both power and intelligence. If it continued at this rate, Hilo and I wouldn't even last until the guild arrived. Furthermore, our current strength was only C rank. Hilo was also injured and couldn't maintain her peak condition. We had to break through the mantis spider's defense as quickly as possible, and I had already formulated a countermeasure in my mind. I once asked my teammates what to do when facing an evenly matched or even stronger enemy in a stalemate. Han Xiaopiao joked that we should turn and run immediately. Hilo believed the Divine Legion had no option to retreat, but she couldn't think of a good method either. I then introduced the topic, teaching them about the mousetrap plan. First, as the captain, I would attack the enemy with all my might, focusing all of its firepower on me. Once the enemy was successfully drawn in, it would devote all its energy to the offense and defense at hand. Then, all that was left was to wait for the right moment. But just then, seeing my move, Hilo subconsciously circled behind the mantis spider. I hurriedly shouted at her not to attack, but to just stay put and gather her strength. Hearing this, Hilo immediately stopped in her tracks. She never thought I would actually prepare to face the demonic beast alone. She naturally knew this was too risky. A single misstep could cost me my life. No matter how outstanding I was just a C-ranked green warrior, just a student. As a gold-quality professional, Hilo realized that I had been the one directing the battle all along, and she would unconditionally execute the commands I gave. In comparison, I was more like the leader commanding the overall situation. I gathered all my strength into my right hand and swung my blade fiercely. However, the mantis spider simply swatted my blade away with a casual wave. What followed was its sharp claw instantly piercing through my chest. Seeing this, Hili's face turned deathly pale. She shouted my name, hoping for a response. Having avoided a fatal blow, I raised my arm and waved at her repeatedly. Hili's expression tensed. She understood I was telling her not to move. It seemed she had guessed the reason why I would disregard my own safety to attack alone. At this moment, the mantis spider also noticed Hilo, who was frozen in place. But having succeeded in its revenge, it didn't pay Hilo any mind, believing that humans would ultimately just become its nutrients. The man-eating flower on its head bloomed once more, deciding to devour me completely right now. It was completely unaware that it had already fallen into my trap. I opened my mouth and took a deep breath. With the loudest voice I could muster, I yelled for Hilu to act now. Hilu had already gathered her power. Activating her skill, Flash God, electricity coursed through her body, instantly increasing her movement speed by 10 times. And I had discovered earlier that the few times the mantis spider was injured were when it was devouring others. Therefore, its defense would lower the moment it devoured something. The most crucial step of the mousetrap plan was for the mousetrapper to appear and instantly crush the opponent the moment the enemy was fully lured in and revealed a flaw. It was also because of Lee's power-storing strike that the mantis spider's heart was paralyzed and its defense completely broken. Now it was time for the final step. I once again displayed my full strength. With just one slash, I killed the infinitely evolving mantis spider and successfully signed a contract with its soul. From now on, it would become my contract beast and fight for me. As for the senior, who tried every means to put me to death, he ultimately spun a cocoon for himself and died in the mouth of the demonic beast he had released. It turned out that a short while ago, Hilo had completely broken the mantis spider's defense. So now, all that was left was the cleanup work. Hilo reminded me that her control skill only lasted a few seconds. If the corpse mantis spider used its skill again, we would become lambs to the slaughter. I told her to just rest well. This time, I would absolutely not let this damn demonic beast escape again. With that, I immediately switched to the Cloud-type mage class. Raising my staff high, I cast the skill ice formation, freezing the corpse mantis spider into an immobile ice sculpture. Seeing this, Heelie's eyes were filled with shock. She had thought I was just a warrior with exceptional talent, but she never imagined I possessed two classes at the same time. I didn't explain. I switched my class again to core-type warrior. The power I had accumulated from my injuries and fatigue was now enough for me to unleash my ultimate move. In an instant, the ultimate move, One Pure Land, was unleashed. Fatigue and pain transformed into a fierce slash that I swung forward. The notification sound of a kill immediately echoed in my ears. My Cloud-type mage level instantly rose to 22, and I obtained the B-rank armor material, Mantis Steel. Thanks to the effect of One Pure Land, my injuries and fatigue instantly vanished, restoring me to my optimal state. It seems I really have to kill high-level demonic beasts to gain experience. At this moment, Hilo was completely dumbfounded. In this world, there are a very small number of geniuses who can possess dual elements. But someone like me, who awakened dual classes at such a young age, was simply unheard of. But what completely won her over was when I now switched my class to Flower-type Summoner. After a summoner reaches C rank, they can sign contracts with 6 demonic beasts. I still had 4 empty slots. So, this mantis spider before me was the perfect contract beast. The skill flower spirit contract was cast immediately. After signing the soul contract, I successfully obtained the E-rank flower-type warrior, the mantis spider. But I didn't like the name corpse mantis spider. It was not only unpleasant, but also hard to remember. So I renamed it Chongzai. With that, the biggest crisis of the field training was completely resolved. Hilo walked over to me and spoke cautiously. She had just seen me switch to another class. It seemed I possessed 3 attribute classes simultaneously. She marveled at how I could keep surprising people. Hearing this, I gave a faint smile and hoped she could keep what happened today a secret for me. Hila naturally understood what I meant. Possessing so many classes, yet not showing them during the graduation assessment, must mean I didn't want too many people to know. So she promised me that she would keep this secret in her heart and never tell anyone. Just then, the Holy He Kingdom's Divine Guild, 26th Eastern Regiment, arrived. They asked me, and he knew about the situation. Then they looked down and were surprised to find that the mantis spider no longer had any life signs. Meanwhile, the students who had inhaled the paralyzing powder and fainted all regained consciousness after taking the medicine brought by the guild. After waking up, Chi-Yin looked a little scared. She remembered almost being swallowed by the corpse mantis spider. Teacher Huang gently comforted her, telling her it was all over. At the same time, the Divine Guild was praising me and Hilo. A B-rank monster like this was something even a mature C-rank team might not be able to handle. And yet, me and Hilo, who were still students, had defeated it. They exclaimed in amazement, truly befitting of genius students from the Jiang Kingdom. At this time, the school Hunkley June proactively walked towards me. The 2 senior girls who had hit on me before expressed their gratitude. If not for my heroic performance, everyone would surely be dead by now. The arrogantly June also thanked me for saving him, stating that from now on, I was his good brother. On the other side, Hilu was receiving treatment. A member of the ultimate school team complained about her acting alone, asking what would have happened if she had encountered an unavoidable danger. A tall young man spoke up to ease the atmosphere, admitting that Lee's strength was extraordinary. After all, she was a gold-quality professional, a genius that appears only once every few years. There couldn't possibly be anything she couldn't handle. Hearing this, Hila smiled sweetly and turned to look at me. She had met a true genius today, and that was me, a person full of mysteries. She couldn't help but wonder what heights I would reach in the future. A moment later, the Divine Guild finished the head count. There was still one student missing. They told everyone to board the special train and rest first. The guild would search for the remaining student. Meanwhile, in the desolate jungle, a new fragment of the shrinking bottle appeared. Xiling dragged his exhausted body, running frantically, roaring, "I'm a master, who let you out?" But the demonic beast, chasing relentlessly behind him, paid him no mind. It seized the opportunity and swallowed Xiling whole. Unaware of this, I was currently checking Chong Zai's stats panel, marveling at its strong growth potential. With proper training, it would surely become an effective combat force for me. After defeating the Mana Spider today, my mage class leveled up once, but I was still a long way from B rank. However, monsters of C rank and above were basically controlled by the divine families and the guilds. So I must find a way to get more opportunities to level up. After the train passes through this coastal tunnel, it means we will have arrived at the long-awaited Holy He Kingdom. This is an academy that all students dream of. Getting into this academy means one's life will be on a smooth, upward path, simply because the school only enrolls 100 students each year. And the minimum requirement for application is to have reached B rank strength, in addition to passing an extremely rigorous entrance test. I made up my mind to get into the Divine Arms Academy, no matter what, because the traitor who backstabbed the entire team in my past life is studying here. It turned out that the train had finally arrived in the Holy He Kingdom a short while ago. Looking at the scenery outside the window, I was filled with emotion. I didn't expect to set foot on this land so soon. My primary goal is to find the whereabouts of the dreadlocked man. I'm slowly getting in touch with various contacts from my past life. At 8 a.m., the train stopped at the Divine Arms Academy's Eastern Campus station. I have to say, the Holy He Kingdom is the richest country in the world. Even the station platform is dozens of times larger than those in the Jiang Kingdom. The one who came to welcome us is the director of the Divine Arms Academy. Next, he will give us a tour. The highest institution for the awakened in the world, the Divine Arms Academy. I'm all too familiar with this academy because that guy graduated from here. Based on my calculations, he is studying here right now. The dreadlock man, Chris. It's about time we met. Entering the academy, the first thing that catches the eye is a finely polished stone sculpture. It is of one of the 5 great creator gods, Cadmus Thebes. It is also because of his great achievements that the Thebes family has become the most powerful existence today, an idol in the hearts of countless students. The director introduced to the crowd that back when the demonic dragon appeared, slaughtering humans and devouring the land, it was the great Cadmus who stood up, slayed the dragon, and helped humanity survive. Afterwards, to unite humanity's strongest forces, it was he who established the Divine Guild and the Divine Arms Academy. Therefore, the Divine Arms Academy is the top awakened academy in the entire world, and without a doubt, the one and only. Each year, it only enrolls 100 students aged 12 to 18 from all over the world. And besides needing to reach at least B rank, applicants also need to pass an extremely rigorous entrance test. Hearing this, the students started discussing among themselves. They had struggled with all their might through middle and high school just to touch the edge of C rank. And B rank awakened are few and far between in the entire country, let alone being required to reach it before the age of 18. The admission requirements for the Divine Arms Academy are simply as difficult as ascending to heaven. I am naturally aware of the high value of the Divine Arms Academy, but even under such extreme difficulty, Chris was able to graduate from here smoothly. When that guy joined the Divine Legion I led back then, I learned that he was the most outstanding graduate of the Divine Arms Academy. His strength was beyond question. Now he is studying at the Divine Arms Academy. I need to reach B rank quickly. I must be stronger than him to enter the Divine Arms Academy. Chi noticed I hadn't spoken since getting off the train, thinking I must be contemplating how to get into the academy. Her goal, on the other hand, was to catch up to me. Just then, an old man suddenly ran up from behind, shouting at Chi, "Young princess, why did you come to the Holy He Kingdom without visiting your father first?" As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present, including Chi, was completely bewildered. The director hurried over and bowed respectfully to the old man, surprised that Secretary General Chun would make a special trip. Secretary General Chun had no time for him and told Chi that her father had fallen ill from overwork these past 2 days. Hearing this, Chi lost all mood for a tour, got into Secretary General Chen's car, and rushed to visit her father. Everyone was dumbfounded by the scene, curious about Chi Yin's family background. The director was so respectful, even to their family secretary. As they were discussing, a stretch limousine drove up and stopped at the academy entrance. The students were already numb. In just 2 short hours, they had seen too many absurd things. At this moment, the driver got out and quickly walked to the rearmost car door. After the car door opened, 5 young people dressed in distinctive outfits were seen. The director walked over with a serious expression and told them they were late. The leading students smiled faintly and explained that they were students of the Eastern Supreme Private Academy. They had to train in the demon caves every night. They had a big battle last night and were too tired, so they slept in a little today, hoping the director would understand. Hearing this, the director didn't pursue the matter further. He introduced to us that this training trip was a joint participation of 2 schools from 2 countries. These were local students from a Holy He Kingdom from the Eastern Supreme Private Academy. The students whispered among themselves, noting how fashionable the local students' attire was. Just as the director was about to introduce that we were from the Jiang Kingdom, the leading rich kid suddenly interrupted, his face full of disdain, that we all know you're from a vassal state. You must all be from commoner families, right? As soon as these words were spoken, the students' faces changed drastically. They didn't expect the local people of the Holy He Kingdom to have such poor manners. Teacher Huang noticed something unusual. The number of us participating in the training trip was several times more than them. The rich kid and his group heard this and covered their mouths, laughing, mocking us for being short-sighted country bumpkins. It was normal that we hadn't heard of private academies. After all, we weren't from the noble families of the Holy He Kingdom, and the educational resources they enjoyed were something we couldn't even imagine. And it wasn't that only 5 of them came, but that the Eastern Supreme Private Academy only had 5 students. All the school's resources were dedicated to serving them. Having said this, the rich kid didn't forget to add a taunt, saying that country bumpkins like us who attend public schools could never understand. Lis condescending tone infuitit liunya. Just as he opened his mouth to retort, his voice was drowned out by the rich kids. He bluntly said he was looking down on us. They were going to attend the Divine Arms Academy in the future. He was only a second-year high school student, but his level was already C10, just 1 level away from B rank. He was here to familiarize himself with the school environment in advance. Unlike us country bumpkins who were just here for a tour, the young man was once recognized as the weakest awakened in the entire school. Yet he was personally invited by the revered God's favored one, hoping I would visit the divine family's territory to observe the hunting festival. They saw that I possessed an extremely extraordinary power and wanted to recruit me into the divine guild through this meeting. But I had no interest in this supreme status, simply because I no longer wanted to live my life as a dog of the gods. It turned out that a short while ago, the rich kid had mocked us as lowly country bumpkins. Li Jun, at a loss for words, didn't know how to respond. He subconsciously brought up the ultimate school team, bluntly stating that their strength could definitely compete with them. The rich kid listened with a look of disdain, telling us not to think too highly of ourselves. The 5 of them had already achieved optimal coordination. Yesterday, they even successfully and perfectly cleared a D-rank dungeon. This was a record-breaking performance for middle school students. The girl with him told him to say less, thinking we probably hadn't even seen a D-rank demon. After all, how could ordinary people living in commoner districts possibly know what the refined life of the nobility is like? Their goal was to become God's favored ones, believing we would live that country life forever. Hearing this, I fell in a deep thought. The definition of a God's favored one is the highest social status an ordinary person without divine blood can achieve. It was the goal everyone pursued, and it was the status I ultimately achieved in my past life. A whole lifetime just to become a dog of the gods in the end. I would never live that kind of life again. As I was thinking, a huge roar suddenly came from my ear. This commotion instantly caught everyone's attention. An airship had appeared in the sky, and it was the exclusive vehicle of the divine family. No one understood why the airship was here. After the airship landed, a figure quietly appeared in the thick dust. It seems the students are all here. As soon as these words were spoken, all the students looked towards the source of the voice, their faces showing shock. Because the person speaking was none other than the gods favored one of the Thebes family, Lin Feng. Seeing this, Lin Feng gave a polite, faint smile and asked which one was student by E. The crowd was once again shocked. A gods favored one actually came to the academy specifically to find someone. As the person in question, I slowly approached, also unsure of his reason for seeking me out. After seeing my face, Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction, knowing that I had perfectly cleared a D-rank demon on my own in the simulation test. And his Thebes family was very interested in my performance. It just so happened that the family was recently holding a hunting festival. He came here specifically to invite me to go and observe. The rich kid and the others felt like clowns upon hearing this. They never expected that I could single-handedly and perfectly clear a D-rank demon and even receive an invitation from the divine family. But I didn't show a hint of emotion. In my impression, the divine families were extremely arrogant. 100 years ago, the world was plunged into chaos. Many monsters with powerful magic descended upon the human world. Humans did not have sufficient strength to fight them. Then, 5 powerful gods descended upon the world. They protected humanity and slayed the powerful monsters. The human world was preserved under the protection of the gods. From then on, humans were filled with reverence for these gods, worshiping them. And to protect humanity, the gods remained in the human world. They gave humans powerful knowledge and strength, formed powerful armies, established new laws, and even had offspring with humans. The direct descendants of the gods are called the divine family. This is the history we learned. Everyone in this world lives under the rule of the gods. At this moment, the rich kid asked Lin Feng if they could go along too. He knew the hunting festival was held in the divine family's territory. Commoners might never get there in their lifetime, let alone watch it live. Hearing this, Lin Feng smiled faintly. The training trip was organized by the Thebes family in the first place. It was only natural to invite all the students. Besides, there was still some time before the tour of the Divine Guild. Interested students could all go together. Hearing this, everyone stood there stunned. They never thought everyone would have the chance to set foot in the divine family's territory. After all, that was a place only nobles could go. Seeing everyone's high spirits, Lin Feng sincerely invited everyone to go and observe. A moment later, the group took the airship to the Thebes family's territory, Sky City. The prosperity of this city could no longer be described with words. As far as the eye could see, there were skyscrapers, mountains, and lakes. As far as I know, the families of the 5 gods are scattered in various places. The Holy He Kingdom is mainly inhabited by the Thebes family. They are all descendants of Cadmus Thebes. They currently command the world's strongest army, the Divine Guild. They also manage the Divine Arms Academy. Therefore, the selection and management of the army are all handled by the Thebes family. The awakened academies of various countries are also under their jurisdiction. The reason they are interested in me this time is because of my performance in the graduation assessment. But what I didn't understand was why they chose to meet at the hunting festival. As I was thinking, we had already walked into the long corridor of the Thebes family. As far as the eye could see were famous paintings from various countries and priceless luxury goods. And the people standing on both sides were the Thebes family's clergy security team. My determined gaze burned like a fire. I was finally going to meet the Divine Family. This was a large-scale hunting event organized by the Divine Family. Awakened from all over the world eagerly signed up to participate, forming one-man armies to hunt powerful demonic beasts of the same strength as themselves. All for the sake of taking home the extremely generous final reward. And yet I, just a middle school student, took the initiative to propose participating. Everyone thought I was a buffoon who didn't know the meaning of death. Little did they know that for me, this was the best opportunity to improve, and I would present the most thrilling performance for everyone. It turned out that a short while ago, I was invited by the Divine family to observe the hunting festival. Seeing our arrival, the security team immediately reported the situation to the person who was admiring a famous painting. The man, with his back to the crowd, spoke in a deep voice, telling us that his grandfather once said that art is the only trace of humanity's existence in this world. He then said that in his father's eyes, ruins are what prove humanity once existed. And this person was the first-in-line heir of the Thebes divine family, Exine Thebes. In his view, creating ruins is an art in itself. These ambiguous words made the crowd look puzzled, not understanding what this person was trying to express. The rich kid, however, hurriedly bowed and reminded his companions to quickly lower their heads as a sign of respect, so as not to be like these country bumpkins who knew nothing and dared to look a member of the divine family in the eye. I had some impression of this Exine Thebes. He was the eldest son of the god who currently ruled the Holy He Kingdom, the peak of power in this world. As I was thinking, Exine Thebes slowly walked away under everyone's gaze. Lin Feng hurried to follow behind and signaled for everyone to keep up. A moment later, everyone arrived at the central area of Sky City, the hunting ground. The incredibly vast field made people gasp in amazement. The demonic beasts imprisoned within were enormous, their ferocious eyes sending shivers down one's spine. Just then, a platform descended rapidly into the hunting ground. The Ode family twins had lifeless eyes, and they asked the bodyguard beside them in a cold tone how many participants there were this time. Lakjan, sitting beside them, didn't care at all, asking the butler to prepare him an iced coffee with 3.2 parts sugar. Alice, from the same family, politely stated that she wasn't thirsty right now. I had some impression of these people from my past life memories. I didn't expect the two grandsons of the Ode family and the grandson and granddaughter of the Jean family to be present as well. To think that three divine families would be present at the same time today. It seems this hunting festival is definitely not that simple. At this time, to make it easier for everyone to understand while watching, Lin Feng decided to introduce the matters and rules of the hunting festival. The entire hunting festival is held in this huge venue. And the core of the hunting festival is awakened vs. the demonic beasts in the hunting ground. The demonic beasts here are all C-rank demonic beasts captured from all over the world and raised here by the Divine Guild. The awakened are self-registered participants from all over. To increase the challenge of the hunt, applicants are required not to have reached B-rank strength. All applicants are their own faction. For every C-rank demonic beast successfully killed, they get 10 points. The final ranking is based on the score. After hearing this introduction, the students looked shocked, because according to these rules, it required the participant's strength to be about the same as the demonic beasts. But a monster of the same level usually requires a team to challenge. One can imagine how intense it is to hunt one alone. At this moment, a treasure chest rose in the center of the venue. Lin Feng immediately announced that this year's hunting festival coincided with a celebration day. The Thebes family has specially prepared an extremely generous reward for the final winner. With that, Lin Feng waved his hand, signaling for everyone to look in that direction. There are a total of 12 participants this year from different countries and regions. The students watching in the venue looked on and gasped. They thought these participants must all have rich experience. After all, when facing a monster of the same level, killing one alone is already the limit. But there were hundreds, if not thousands, of demonic beasts in this venue, yet only 12 people. However, it was precisely because of this extremely exaggerated difficulty that if one won, they could take home a generous reward. Perhaps among them was S-rank equipment, and if they performed well, they might even receive a reward from the Divine family. At this moment, Exine Thebes suddenly spoke in a deep voice. He turned to look at me and asked, "You must be by E, right?" He knew I had cleared a D-rank demon on my own in middle school, but he believed I had not yet reached my full potential. Therefore, he told me to kill a C-rank demonic beast for him to see right now. This request made everyone's face change. Asking a student to single-handedly fight a C-rank demonic beast was unthinkable. But the command of the Divine family could not be disobeyed. In contrast, Hila was not worried about me at all. She also understood why I was specially invited here. This request was not difficult for me. I had successfully killed the B-rank mana spider with her before. I definitely had the strength to kill a C-rank one alone. Just as Elu was thinking, I suddenly spoke up and refused Exan Thebes' command. I said bluntly, "How is Amir one enough to watch? Since you specially invited me here, then let me participate in the hunting festival as well." As soon as these words were spoken, Exan Thebes' brow furrowed slightly. He didn't expect me to have such audacity. The rich kid and the others were so scared their faces turned pale. They didn't know where I got the courage to participate in the hunting festival. The members of the divine families who had come specially to watch were suddenly interested. They were very curious to see what results a commoner with no background could achieve. But what they didn't know was that I had already planned to participate in this hunting festival. After all, C-rank demonic beasts can no longer be found in the world right now. To level up to B rank, this is my only and fastest chance. What's more, 3 divine families are present today. It's the perfect time for me to give them the most thrilling performance of their lives. A novice warrior participating in the hunting festival for the first time, yet mocked and insulted by the divine families because of his unknown strength. But when everyone was going all out to hunt demonic beasts, the small team I temporarily formed with the ultimate school team had already secured a spot in the top 3 of the kill leaderboard. It turned out that a short while ago, I had taken the initiative to participate in the hunting festival. Seeing this, Hilu immediately raised her hand, stating that she was also signing up. The vice captain of the ultimate school team, In Jixing, also immediately stated his position, counting him in for the hunting festival. Callowin and the others were completely dumbfounded, not understanding what this group of people was trying to do. The hunting festival was not a school test. Why were all these people so eager to try? Xin Thebes looked down at the records. Our grades were all C rank, which indeed met the participation requirements. It was also the first time he had seen students participate in the hunting festival, so he agreed to our request to compete. Seeing this, Eli was instantly displeased, mocking us for just wanting to show off in front of the divine family, being overconfident. Callowin thought we were too hasty. There have been amazing cases before where someone was directly selected by the divine family to become a god's favored one due to outstanding performance. But complaining was one thing. As young people themselves, how could they be willing to let others get the better of them? They immediately declared that everyone would participate in the hunting festival. Lin Feng reminded them to think it through carefully. The hunting festival had no teleportation devices. If they encountered danger, no one would come to their rescue. Callowin naturally understood the high level of danger. But since he had already made the boast, he had to bite the bullet and try to kill a C-rank demonic beast. He refused to believe that he, who had been nurtured with top-tier resources, could be worse than us people from the vassal states. With that, the number of participants in the hunting festival instantly increased by 8. In the stands, the Ode brothers' eyes were filled with excitement. This year's hunting festival was much more exciting than previous ones. Lack of the Jean family also became interested. He asked them who they were planning to bet on. The Ode brothers said in unison, of course, the students from the Holy He Private Academy. They were willing to bet 1 million, believing that Callowin and the others had received a noble elite education, unlike those country bumpkins from who knows where. Sintibes, on the other hand, was very optimistic about my performance and decided to bet 1 million on me. Hearing this, the Ode brothers burst out laughing, mocking Sintibes for having terrible judgment. To actually bet on that piece of trash, Simao. Just get ready to watch your money go down the drain. Meanwhile, Lack, who had brought up the topic of betting, had been silent for a long time, because he didn't have a favorite contestant and didn't know who to bet on. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly had a bad feeling. He had forgotten to tell us to absolutely not go near the central dark forest area. He thought to himself that we probably wouldn't go so far as to hunt demonic beasts there anyway. Meanwhile, right after entering the hunting grounds, we parted ways with Callowin and his group. This was also to prevent any situation where we might fight over killing demonic beasts. The blonde girl in Callowin's team looked extremely flustered, as they had never faced a C-rank demonic beast before. Callowin told her not to panic. In actual combat, it wasn't like they hadn't fought a D-rank boss before. The strength of a C-rank demonic beast is merely at the level of a D-rank boss. We just need to fight as a team like before. We'll show these country bumpkins what true elites are. On the other side, Hilu, In Jixing, and I were searching for traces of demonic beasts. But suddenly, I felt a strange palpitation. Immediately after, my heart began to beat wildly, and the frequency of the beats grew faster and faster. But this sensation quickly faded away. I didn't understand why this was happening. Could it be a sign of something to come? Hila noticed something was wrong with me and softly asked what was the matter. I gave a calm smile and waved my hand to signal that I was fine. We continued deeper to hunt for demonic beasts. Just then, Jixing suddenly spoke up. He suggested that since we came together, we might as well fight as a team. He also said that ever since I rejected the ultimate school team's invitation, Hilu, as the captain, had been having sleepless nights. Instead, she was looking forward to cooperating and fighting alongside me even more. As soon as he said this, Healy's cheeks instantly turned red. She told the vice captain not to talk nonsense. However, just as we were talking, a huge demonic beast quietly emerged from the depths of the forest. It had already locked onto us as its prey. In contrast, Callowin and his group had already encountered their first demonic beast. Aerie, a floor-type warrior, immediately formed a shield to block the attack. But Captain Callowin was currently complaining about his teammates because they couldn't keep up with his offensive pace. The demonic beast they were facing was a level 25 cloud-type giant beast, the Ice Storm Dragon. Facing a C-rank demonic beast for the first time made Aerie a little panicked. Seeing the Ice Storm Dragon's claws reaching for the shield, Aerie instantly released the skill Poisonous Abyss Sedan, unleashing a slash imbued with potent venom. It directly severed the Ice Storm Dragon's arm. Seeing this, the blonde girl hurriedly chanted to conjure ice. The skill Realm of Frost was immediately released. Countless icicles instantly shot towards the Ice Storm Dragon. In the blink of an eye, it was frozen into an ice sculpture. The core-type archer and warrior in the team were already poised to strike. The skill Strong Poison Arrow shot out. An arrow imbued with poison attribute flew towards the Ice Storm Dragon's brow. This was followed by the skill Aura Blade. A violent sword aura flew out at high speed. As the captain, Callowin had now finished charging his attack. He held a scorching hot fireball high with both hands. The fireball was seen falling rapidly from the sky, smashing towards the Ice Storm Dragon. It instantly caused a massive explosion. This move was called Flame Bomb, one of the skills of Core-type Mage. Under this powerful assault, they successfully killed the Ice Storm Dragon. It dropped the material items Ice Dragon's Humerus and Frost Dragon's Tail. And because Callowin delivered the final blow, the 10 points were added to his score. Seeing this, his teammates smiled, happy for him. But deep down, they were all unconvinced. Because in the final round of attacks, Callowin's action was no different from kill stealing. They just didn't dare to say it out loud, due to his status. But Callowin, having tasted victory, was not satisfied. He told his teammates to put in the effort to help him kill the demonic beasts first, and he would help them get points later. Just then, the blonde girl noticed the real-time leaderboard in the jungle. She was surprised to find that the kill counts of Ilu, Jixing, and I were already far ahead of everyone else. How much power does the Divine Clan possess? Just because they found the hunting festival too boring, they changed the rules on a whim and released a large number of high-level demonic beasts, turning the hunting festival into a one-sided slaughter by the demonic beasts. However, as the Divine Clan enjoyed watching this battle royale, they had no idea that all these demonic beasts would become experience for me to level up. It turned out that not long ago, Hilu, Jixing, and I were firmly in the top 3 on the leaderboard. The students from the Holy He Private Academy were all dumbfounded when they looked. They couldn't believe we had already hunted so many demonic beasts. As the captain, Callowin felt even more like a clown. He had made such bold claims before the competition, yet now he had only managed to kill one after using all his tricks. The Ode brothers were also extremely furious at this moment, cursing that Callowin and his group were a bunch of trash. It's a complete waste of their qualification to receive a noble elite education. They struggled so much just to fight a monster of a lower level than themselves. Wouldn't the 1 million they just bet go down the drain? They also didn't expect Sintibes to be so lucky. A randomly picked bug actually rushed to 3rd place. Hearing this, Sintibes' expression remained as calm as still water. He told the Ode brothers to never underestimate the power of a bug. This was something his father had warned him about since he was a child. At this time, Lack let out a cold laugh and joined their conversation. He stated that he hadn't placed a bet yet and thought this demonic beast hunting event was too simple. Betting like this is too boring. Hearing this, Sintibes frowned slightly and asked him what crooked idea he had come up with now. Lack then stood up and straightened his clothes, deciding to register for the hunting festival himself. He would bet on himself. After saying that, he reached out and grabbed the ear of the butler beside him, claiming he would have his own dog take his place. After hearing this, the Ode brothers' faces were full of contempt, because the dog Lack was talking about was a god's favored one, and the rules only allowed C-rank awakened to participate. Lack was naturally aware of this rule, but the divine clan was the rule itself. He immediately had the locked-up high-level demonic beasts released as well. If the gods favored one participated in the event and didn't get first place, there was no way Lack would let him come back alive. A moment later, peak C-rank demonic beasts began to appear frequently in the hunting grounds. Most of the contestants were completely powerless to fight back. Seeing this, the contestants didn't dare to make a rash move, not understanding why so many high-level demonic beasts had suddenly appeared. A contestant who was pinned down screamed for help at the top of his lungs. The pressure on his internal organs caused him immense pain. He cried out that he was forfeiting now and wanted to leave the hunting grounds. But the only fate that awaited him was elimination, which also confirmed that his life had passed. In just these few short minutes, 5 contestants had already died at the hands of demonic beasts. The crowd watching the competition was breaking out in a cold sweat, not understanding why the outcome was so cruel when the contestants had clearly given up. Teacher Huang, with a worried expression, turned to look at the divine clan members behind her. She thought to herself that this competition had lost all its entertainment value. It had turned into a cruel and violent battle royale. But the smiles on the faces of the divine clan members grew even brighter, their eyes filled with irrepressible excitement. The Ode brothers were dancing with joy. This kind of back-and-forth slaughter was what they wanted to see. They asked Sintibes if he had any more monsters up his sleeve, to release them all to liven things up. Hearing this, Sintibes did not answer. Instead, he focused his attention on the large live screen, because Lu and I were currently challenging. A level 28 star-type giant beast, the stone ape. While dodging, Hila couldn't help but complain. This guy had one of its legs cut off by her, yet it could still maintain high-speed movement. Just after she finished complaining, I flash-stepped forward and kicked the stone ape in the face. The immense impact sent it flying, and at this moment, Yin Zhixing also activated his skill. The stone ape was hit by immense pressure the moment it landed. No matter how hard it struggled, it couldn't break free from the restraint. It turned out that Yin Zhixing was a star-type mage awakened. His skill Meteorite Crush marks a single target and applies immense pressure on it. Seeing this, I immediately summoned Kunwu Limia, instantly erupting with terrifyingly powerful elemental energy fluctuations. With just one slash, I cut the stone ape in half at the waist. The 10 points for killing the demonic beast were also collected by me. Seeing this, Hila thought to herself, this is already the 3rd time I had stepped in to help her out of tight spot. Although it was teamwork, I had actually been leading the battle the whole time, and I had only shown my warrior class. If I used my full strength, I would definitely be firmly in first place. At this time, I was checking my data panel. From entering the hunting grounds until now, my core-type warrior class had already leveled up twice. This was also because I had never switched classes so far, allowing the warrior class to monopolize the experience. After all, there was a real-time monitoring drone nearby, which made me not dare to easily expose my other classes in front of the Divine Clan. With this thought, I turned my head to look into the depths of the dark, shrouded jungle. I decided to go check out the black mist forest in the center. Only an independent space wouldn't limit the speed of my improvement. This is a ring that everyone dreams of. Possessing it means one will obtain a get-out-of-jail-free card. Even if one commits a capital crime, it can be used to gain an exemption. Therefore, I decided to no longer hide my full strength. I must win first place in the hunting festival and take the final prize. It turned out that not long ago, I had decided to go to the Black Mist Forest to hunt demonic beasts. At this moment, a long sigh from Yin Zhixing pulled me back to my senses. He was looking at the leaderboard where people were constantly being eliminated. He couldn't help but exclaim that our team's cooperation was really good. If we continued at this pace, the first place would most likely come from one of us 3. After all, the fourth place's score was left quite far behind, not to mention the contestants ranked even lower. But just then, Healy's expression suddenly became serious. She was surprised to see on the leaderboard that a contestant named Gannicus was currently catching up in the rankings at an insane speed. I frowned slightly, looking at the constantly updating leaderboard. I recognized Gannicus as a god's favored one from the Gene family. But how did he also get into the hunting festival? This guy is a B-rank cloud-type warrior. None of the demonic beasts here could possibly be his opponent. Meanwhile, Gannicus, who had entered the hunting grounds, maintained his peak condition at all times, wielding an ice blade and constantly searching for demonic beasts to hunt. The demonic beasts he locked onto were all killed instantly, without exception. Before long, Gannicus's kill count surpassed mine, reaching third place. In the audience stands, Lack saw this and laughed wildly, because Gannicus was competing in his place. At this rate, he was bound to secure first place. He mocked Sintibes' judgment for being so poor. The Ode brothers couldn't help but complain a little. Having a god's favored one compete in one's place was clearly cheating. However, Sintibes had never lost a bet so far. They were also looking forward to seeing how pathetic he would look when he lost. However, Sintibes paid no mind to their taunts. He asked if they wanted to raise the stakes. They could freely switch their bets to someone else. And he directly raised his bet on me to 100 million. He asked if anyone present dared to follow his bet. As soon as he said this, the Ode brothers' faces were full of disbelief. They asked if Sintibes was crazy. 100 million was a week's worth of tribute money. Lack, however, thought Sintibes just wanted to give away money. Gannicus was the most loyal dog he had raised. Since he had given the do-or-die order for first place, there was no way he could lose. He decided to follow with a 100 million bet. This was the answer Sintibes wanted to hear. He immediately decided to add a little something to the game to increase the contestants' motivation to get first place. Lin Feng understood and immediately went to make the arrangements. A moment later, his voice echoed throughout the hunting grounds, announcing that the final stage of the hunting festival had officially begun. More powerful demonic beasts would be released. All contestants could now choose whether to remain in the grounds and participate in the hunt. Furthermore, the Thebes family has specially added a new prize to the prize pool. The final first-place winner will receive the item, the Holy Edict. Hearing this, my expression suddenly became serious. I didn't expect the prize for this hunting festival to be suddenly increased. You have to know, the Holy Edict is a ring that each member of the Divine Clan can only give out once in their lifetime. An ordinary person who obtains the Holy Edict is considered to have a get-out-of-death-free card. Even if they commit a capital crime, they can use the Holy Edict to receive a one-time exemption. In my previous life, my master used a holy edict to save me from the awakened prison. Therefore, I never in a million years expected that the Thebes family would be willing to put up such a huge stake this time. But also because of this prize, the upcoming competition will be even more intense. There isn't much time left for me to level up. At this moment, Yin Jixing called He Lu and me over to discuss. He thought that although teamwork had a high success rate, the points increased slowly. Moreover, the number of demonic beasts in the outer areas was decreasing. It would be better to fight individually from now on. We can't let that newcomer leave us in the dust. The person Yin Jixing was talking about was precisely the newcomer, Gannicus. From the time he entered the hunting grounds until now, he has already killed 35 demonic beasts, securing the first-place position. I naturally agreed with Yin Jixing's proposal. I asked them if they could protect themselves. Hearing this, Hila felt a little happy in her heart. She knew that I had accepted teamwork because I was worried about their safety. But as the captain of the ultimate school team, how could she need someone else's protection? She decided to compete with me to see who could get first place. Meanwhile, Gannicus was still desperately killing demonic beasts in the outer area. He was clearly a god's favored one, revered by thousands. But now, in order to survive, he could only be reduced to being the Divine Clan's dog, desperately killing demonic beasts with all his might. Only by securing his current first-place position could he stay alive. Lack, who was watching the competition, laughed out loud as he watched the live broadcast. The hound he had carefully trained was indeed ferocious. He was certain he had already won this hunting festival. The me that Sintibes had his eye on was no match for him at all. However, just then, the screen monitoring me in real time suddenly started to glitch. Then the entire screen completely froze and disconnected. Seeing this, Lack immediately stood up, not understanding why my live feed had suddenly cut out. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Sintibes' mouth. He knew that I was finally about to show my true strength. The young man had only just shown his full strength. Yet it left the arrogant divine clan members utterly shocked, simply because I, a novice warrior who had only recently awakened, had surpassed the God's favored one in an instant to secure the top spot on the leaderboard. But they were completely unaware that I possessed 3 major classes simultaneously. All the demonic beasts in this hunting festival were just experience packs for me to level up in my eyes. It turned out that not long ago, in order to get the Holy Edict, I cut off the surveillance and began to fight for first place with all my might. I deliberately brought the live broadcast drone into the Black Mist Forest before destroying it. Many people didn't dare to rashly enter this central area. Plus, my master had taught me the places where monsters in the jungle like to hide, so finding experience packs was quite easy. And just then, a pack of level 29 Thunder Owl beasts suddenly appeared. From this moment on, I will let each of my classes gain experience, striving to get them all to B rank. Meanwhile, the teachers and students watching the live broadcast couldn't help but worry when my feed suddenly cut out. The 2 senior female students had faces full of worry, praying that I wouldn't run into any danger. Teacher Huang was also extremely anxious, although she knew my strength was extraordinary. Facing so many high-level demonic beasts, she couldn't be sure what variables might arise. Just then, Li Jun pointed at the screen and exclaimed, "Everyone, look at Bai Yi's score." On the real-time updated leaderboard, I instantly gained 30 points and shot up to 3rd place. Just a few seconds later, I reached 2nd place with a score of 310, only 30 points behind Gannicus. This situation also caught the attention of the Divine Clan. Lack was full of doubt, asking if the system had made a mistake. How could this kid's score skyrocket after his live feed was cut? Lin Feng patiently explained to him that the point system doesn't make mistakes. Each monster has a chip bound to it. Only at the moment it is killed will the points be credited to the participant. As soon as his voice fell, scalding hot coffee was splashed on his face. An enraged Lack cursed loudly. "Do I fucking need you to explain? Am I blind or brainless?" Sintibes, doesn't your family's God's favored one know the rules? When a member of the Divine Clan is speaking, when did it become his turn to interrupt? However, Sintibes couldn't be bothered to pay him any mind. With a cold laugh, he thought, is he that afraid of losing? Then he turned his head to continue watching the live broadcast, discovering that I had already surpassed Gannicus to take 1st place. He marveled to himself that this guy, me, was even more interesting than he thought. On the other side, Hilu had just finished off a demonic beast and also noticed the current rankings. She had thought that I would catch up by fighting alone, but she didn't expect it to be this fast. If I kept up this speed, I would surely be able to take 1st place easily. And after seeing the leaderboard, Yin Zhixing exclaimed, "Is this something a human can do?" He couldn't help but suspect that I had been hiding my strength ever since I started teaming up with them. At the same time, he was also aware that this hunting festival was a rare opportunity to show off his strength in front of the Divine Clan. Although the central area was dangerous, there were also relatively more monsters there. He immediately decided to head towards the central area as well. He couldn't let his own ranking fall too far behind. As long as he stayed away from the Black Mist Forest, he should be safe. Meanwhile, I was leading my newly contracted summoned beast, and finally stepped into the range of the Black Mist Forest. Along the way, I had killed almost all the demonic beasts in the inner circle. All 3 of my classes have leveled up quite a bit. At this rate, I might be able to get my warrior class to B rank today. During this time, I also contracted 2 flora-type demonic beasts. My current level still has 1 slot left. Xiaolin is used to help me find enemies and assess the surrounding environment. Kongkong's task is to fight alongside me. But just as I ordered Xiaolin to check for any more demonic beasts nearby, that strange palpitation suddenly surged up again. I could clearly hear the beating of my heart. Cold sweat started to break out all over my body, as if I had fallen into an extremely cold ice cave. In fact, I had experienced this feeling when I was reborn. "It's that guy who's pulling the strings to lead me here." I shouted towards the forest. "It's you calling me, isn't it? Belphegor." This guy was the one who gave me the chance to live a second life, allowing me to avert and change tragedies. This heart, entwined with 5 major elements, was his greeting gift. I asked him why he was willing to help me, knowing that there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. What was the price? Belphegor revealed an intriguing, wicked smile. When he stated his conditions, my pupils instantly constricted, my face filled with shock. With this thought, I stood up, my gaze incomparably firm. It seems the time has come to fulfill my promise to you.